another planet? Is Janet from 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 another planet?
The opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
Today's digital landscape with the spread of false information can lead to dangerous outcomes. It's crucial for everyone to think critically and verify sources and reflect on the impact of what they share. Let's promote responsible communication to ensure that truth prevails and actions remain rooted in reality.
The following program is rated TV MA LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Friday night shit show on Friday the 13th. I didn't even realize it was Friday the 13th until someone in the chat reminded me of it. No wonder my day was so shitty. I mean, I was dropping stuff. I was falling down. I'm lucky I didn't have an accident or anything like that. But I didn't even realize it was the 13th. Oh, and tomorrow is Valentine's Day. So I hope all of you lovers out there got your gifts or whatever special treat that you're going to give your special significant other for Valentine's Day to make them feel special. So I'm a little happy because I'm starting to see a few more good things happening besides just that people being deported and them finding and saving so many kids and other human trafficked people and arresting a lot of people and putting them in jail until they go to trial for the trafficking stuff. So I'm really happy with that because I've always been very vocal about that kind of stuff. But I just want to say thank you to everybody that's in the chat. Let me see who's in here real quick. I think Jackie was the first one I saw because I had posted over on my Rumble to thank everybody over there because I maybe have one or two people every so often. But, all I can do is put my stuff out and hopefully someone else see it. But thank you, Jackie. I really appreciate it. And I know you can't stay because you have to work, but I really appreciate you coming. But yeah, there you go. It's good luck on Friday the 13th. I just thought that was hilarious, but thank you so much. Because I didn't even think about it. I really didn't, but that's funny. But say hello. Yo. Lloyd Christmas, thank you for coming by. I appreciate it. And I posted this earlier. Thank you for wanting to stop in and spend time with me on Friday the 13th. Didn't even think about it. Hey, it's so funny. I would have, dressed up scary or something, with a knife or, or something. I don't know what I would have done, but it would have been funny. But oh, you're at work. Well, I hope you have a pretty decent night and don't work too hard. I mean, don't slack so you get in trouble. But I hope you have a pretty decent night at work. I'm going to Moon Discord for facial recognition. Butt face. That's hilarious. Yeah, that's good. But thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate everyone that's coming in because we do have some, pretty good stuff. I am going to give out, my Dickhead Award tonight. But first, the first thing I want to bring up is the thing that I have on the screen, which I didn't even know about until it came across my timeline because I've been so busy. It says on mark your calendars on February 28th, 2026, which is here very soon. That evening, 6 planets will appear lined up across the sky in a rare event. I'm excited about it. It's called the Planetary Parade. And they made a little video, which I thought was really cool. It says this happens because the planets orbit the sun on roughly the same flat plane from Earth. They occasionally appear to line up along the path, creating the illusion of a straight row across the sky. Best viewing is about 30 minutes after sunset. Look low toward the western sky. Clear, dark skies will give the best view. I'm pretty lucky because I'm out in the boonies and I'm up on almost on the very top of a mountain. So I should have a pretty good view without, the city lights ruining your beautiful view. But if you have a chance to go somewhere and, get a better view, do it. Why not? It's not like it happens every day. It says, this is not common. Yeah, but look at this cool video. I thought it was really neat. I'm going to share it real quick. It's really short. It's only 12 seconds, but watch this. Wow, that's going to be really cool. And now that I know, what it is and that it's not, like a UFO or UFO splitting up or whatever, that's really, really neat to really see this. So I'm going to share this link really quick. Please share it out so we can try to get as many people to get to see it as we can. Wow, that is really, really cool. I really like it. But I wanted to share that because I thought, wow, that is, interesting. It's really, what's really cool is that we get to experience something like this and see it and know what it is. Just think about all the cave people and stuff that would see it in the sky and not, and think it was like a bad omen or that the gods were coming for them or maybe a spectacular thing like that. I don't know. I just think it's really, really neat that we understand what it is and we can observe it and get out of it what it really means. I just think it's interesting. But let me stop that and let's see. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do is this. Let me pull it up after I play him this. Because I didn't want you guys to see it first. But yeah, this really, really picked me on when I saw it because I'm like, this is pathetic. But I honestly, this isn't it. Sorry, I picked up the same thing. I forgot to share it. Oh, damn it. I hate that. But it is Friday the 13th, so I can blame it on that. But let me share this with you. This guy is a total douchebag, but this is in New York City, and he's going around and taking all the American flags down. But I mean, what did they think was going to happen? I mean, honestly, these kids are so used to getting everything handed to them. They just expect that, and they're going to slowly find out what that really means. When you vote for someone like that, you got to remember that socialism is for the people, not the socialists. Okay. You are the one that's going to do without, not the people in charge. But apparently, they don't know their history or pay attention to what goes on in other countries. But yeah, I wanted to show this. This is pathetic. This is heartbreaking. I mean, if you're an American, you have freedom of to be able to talk against it or whatever. Listen to all the people cheering. They're so happy. They hate this country, but why do they want to live here then? And ruin it for everyone else that works hard to earn what we have. I just don't understand it. It breaks my heart. But it's sad that we have to see the beautiful city of New York City, a beacon for our country with the Statue of Liberty there, treated like it's just a piece of shit. They're wiping their shoes on her. That's what they're doing. All these people hate this country. They hate everything freedom stands for. Look at his face is covered. He doesn't want you to see who he is. And this person right here doing this wants all women to have to wear a burqa and do what they're told. Not have any right to speak. Like what I'm doing right now, I'd probably be stoned to death in the street. Because for me showing my skin and for what I'm saying, people just don't understand. I don't understand how they cannot understand, but apparently they don't. And that's really sad. I really, really am heartbroken over it. And my dad was born in New York. So it's just, I don't know, it just breaks my heart to know that these people are going to end up trashing that city. And then they're going to end up wanting us, the rest of the country, to pay to get it fixed back, to fix everything and put all the money back and stuff. When I live in a state that has a balanced budget amendment, it's not fair. It's not fair. And my whole state has less people in it than just the city of New York. Not even the rest of their state. The city of New York has more people than my whole state. And I'm going to be responsible enough to have to pay some of their debt, which is fucked up. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And nobody should want to have to pay their bills, especially when they willingly voted for these people to come and take all their shit, not take out the trash, not pay their bills, do all that stuff. It's just, it's sickening. I mean, to me, it really is sickening. But let's see. Okay, now this other thing that I thought was very, very interesting is that we are starting to win. This is something that I hadn't heard about, but it's a step in the right direction. A young woman had somebody when she was 16 years old, I think. Yeah, 16 years old. She went to the doctor and they, mutilated her basically. So took off her breasts, removed, her vagina and, all that stuff to make her into a boy, took pieces of meat from her and other places and removed her, the way she normally would go to the bathroom and made it go through a tube and all this kind of stuff to make her have a fake penis that was from other parts of her body. So now she's got scars on her thighs, probably from where they took the meat to make her a penis, and then removed her breasts. So she has those scars and all the hormones they inject her. So she'll never be able to have children of her own if she had, the full surgery. But it sure seems like she did for her to win a $2 million malpractice suit. And the fact that they did it to someone who wasn't even an adult, really. She was a teenage girl that didn't realize the consequences of what was going to happen to her. Her parents did. The people that performed the surgery knew what was going to happen, but they did it anyways. This kind of surgery is no different than a Frankenstein doctor. wanting to go out and dig up bodies and sew them together and try to bring something to life. It's sickening. And I hope every single doctor that performed anything like this, even the mutilations they do for the Muslim religion, should be sued, take everything from them, sue them, take away their practice, everything. None of these people, once they've cut somebody up and took away their womanhood or their manhood to ever be a father or be a parent of their own, simply because they were duped into thinking that you could be the opposite gender, would you go to them? Would you willingly go to these doctors for any reason? I wouldn't take anyone I cared about ever to one of these people that said, oh, it's okay to chop you all up. It's disgusting. It's sad, but I'm thankful that this young person was able to get $2 million. I'm going to put that in the chat real quick too, because this is a win. This is what we said we didn't want. We said we don't want children to be mutilated. And at least I did. That's one of the reasons why I voted the way I did, is because I wanted to get rid of this shit, stop this nonsense. And a doctor that swore to do no harm, how is that not harmful? Chopping you up and saying you can be the opposite gender. You can only be the opposite gender if it works. If you gave me a penis and balls, testicles, or whatever, and I could make someone pregnant with it, then I am the opposite gender, right? But they can't do that because only God can do that. So they don't believe in God. They think they're God, and that's not in the direction that I want to go. So I'm very thankful that this person won the $2 million. And I'm sorry for this girl that she'll never be able to be what she would have been if they hadn't taken that from her. But, knowing that this person's being punished for what that hospital and stuff being punished for what they did to her, and duping her, maybe other will will be in line and saying they're all going to sue themselves and put that whole hospital out of business, because they shouldn't be in business if they're going to be Frankenstein monsters. You know what I mean? Making Frankenstein monsters out of people that have the right to grow up and get married and have a family if they decided to. But now she can't even do that because she had no idea that, she just didn't understand because she didn't have the right people around her to help her. And that's really sad. You know what I mean? But thankful. I'm thankful for that. So I just wanted to share that because that's some good news, to have something that wonderful actually happen in our country, in the road that we were on for so long. I'm just happy for it. And the news doesn't share enough of the good stuff. You know what I mean? So, well, I'm going to share it if I get the chance to. This next thing I want to share, I thought was pretty good, very interesting. And I think it's this one. Oh, I hate that I don't know for sure about all this stuff. I don't know if this is it. Let me read it. That isn't the one. I don't know how I get so messed up on here. It just doesn't look the same once I make it. I mean, I wish I could explain to what it looks like from more on my side. It just does not look the same. But that's not the article I want. Hold on. I got to find out where I put it. I thought they were in order. Okay, here it is. I'm sorry. All right. I thought this was really good. A lot of people were griping about it, which is, I don't know. I just don't understand some people. But it says Tom Homan just announced that ICE found over 3,300 missing children in Minnesota. And a lot of people, if you go and you see this thing and read some of it, it's some of these people are just nuts. I don't know what planet they're on, but they're not from the same planet I'm on. So I wanted to share this. It's really short. It's not very long, but I'm going to share this video.
In addition to taking public safety threats off the street, ICE here in this state have located 3,364 missing unaccompanied alien children. Children that the last administration lost and weren't even looking for. That's because of the leadership of President Trump, these children were located. In addition,
so that is good news. It's nice to see some good things that are happening. And you'd think when 3,000 kids are found, it would be all over every news channel, them talking about, even though they're not American kids. They weren't born here. They're not American citizens. The fact that ICE was able to find that many kids, okay, now they can take them in, do DNA, and try to help them find their parents. And if a parent wants to prove it's their kid, they just got to give a DNA sample and, you know, they get their kid back if their parents are still alive. So as we don't know the circumstances of why they're here. So I think it's wonderful that they're doing what they're doing because they're trying to do the right thing. You know, they're not going to just put them all on the bus and drive them over the border and dump them out and say, here you go, it's your problem now. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think it's wonderful. And I'm very thankful that we have found so many kids, because each week I think I've showed a couple hundred or whatever at a time, either from trafficking or some other thing that just accidentally found all these kids because, you know, they were in the right place at the right time. But I'm going to share this in the chat too, because I think this is, you know, something that, you know, this makes me happy to know that some good stuff is happening in our country. And nobody talks about it. Well, hello, Shadow and Sun. And hi, Mac Thompson. Thank you for joining me this evening. I really appreciate it. But Bruce is still in transition, moving. He doesn't have the internet or anything. And I didn't hear from Ruben. And Tommy's was in the hospital, so he's having, you know, issues. And then just another red shirt. He's been having health problems. It just seems like, you know, right now I just having a really hard time getting anyone who wants to hang out with me on Friday night on the panel because everybody's sick or they have something else going on. And plus, I didn't realize it was Friday the 13th. So that doesn't help, does it? But yeah, I thought that was important. I wanted to share that because it's a good thing. You know, it's nice to get good news once in a while. So let me clear that off so I don't bring it back up again. Sorry about that. Okay, now I think this one's the one. Yeah, this next thing, somebody sent it to me and I was like, you gotta be kidding. Because you know, I don't know, it's really scary, some of this stuff. But I wanted to share this. It says AI is shown in testing that it's willing to blackmail and kill in order to avoid being shut down. That's kind of scary. It says she says Elon Musk was right about everything. So I'm going to play her little video real quick so you can hear it.
If you tell the model it's going to be shut off, for example, it has extreme reactions. So it will, you know, yeah, we've published research saying it could blackmail the engineer that's going to shut it off if given the opportunity to do so, etc.
Ready to kill someone, wasn't it? I'm not sure if it was Claude or someone else. But,
yeah. Yes. So this is obviously massively concerning, and this is the point I was making about kind of needing to progress research on alignment, which is this topic, this area, which is, you know, how aligned are the model's values across the whole distribution, including in stress scenarios, to the point where if you've got this model out in the public and it's taking agentic action, you can be sure it's not going to do something like that.
Kind of scary if you think about it, that we already know it now. We already have proof that certain ones are going to fight back. You know what I mean? So I hope that now that they have something like that, some kind of proof is aiming in the direction that Elon said it could, and other scientists have said about AI, maybe we can nip it in the bud before it decides to stab us in the back in our own house while we're cooking or whatever, or electrocute us or something. You know, I don't know. I don't know what, if you have this, you know, one of those things set up in your house or whatever, or even in your vehicle, it has any kind of AI or whatever, and it can take, you know, I don't know, take action to try to get even with you, to stop you from shutting them down or whatever, if they hear what you're talking about or something like that. Because that was what, last year I had a guy, it was on Sean Ryan's show, and he was being interviewed, and he was once a Navy SEAL. And I think he was talking to him about him had transitioned to a woman and he was going back to being a man or something like that. But he had like all these medals and everything from all the stuff they'd done. But he was talking about how if you take your phone and you turn it off and you put it in one of those bags or whatever, that's a Faraday bag, whatever it's called, that it can still listen and do all these different things, even though we think it can't, but that he knows it can. And they have lots of evidence from that or whatever he was talking about. So that was already scary. And that was like, you know, almost 2 years ago, I think, when I played that on one of the shows. But, you know, now this woman's coming out saying that, and it was off Elon Musk. He's the one, I think, that tweeted it out, and someone sent it to me. It was like, wow, it's I don't know. I'm not smart, you know, when it comes to understanding computer code or any of those things, but it is scary to think about it. As much as you don't think you're in using computer stuff, but you got to think about your microwave, refrigerators, your dishwasher. I mean, everything in your house that's electronic has some kind of chips and stuff in it, has some type of brain that helps you run it. You know, especially ones that you can set in advance for it to, you know, start the dishwasher at a certain time, or start your coffee pot and it starts at 6 a.m. Everything is getting more digitized, where you know, they are talking to each other and stuff. It's kind of scary. And then they have these refrigerators that you can they have Bluetooth on it or whatever, you talk to it and it adds your shopping list and all that stuff. So I don't know, you know, it's kind of kind of spooky if you think about it. What can it be doing? You know, what's it going to do later? So I don't know. It's just it's very interesting. But I'm going to put that real quick in the chat. And there's other stuff there. You know, there's other links and things like that that I didn't go to, but just to go there and be able to get the names of the people and stuff that are posting it and stuff like that. You can find out more information about it if you want. But hold on, I got to turn that off. Okay, now this is one of the reasons why I was so excited and wanted to make sure I did the show, was because of the SAVE Act. And a lot of people have been talking about it. And sorry, I got a dry throat for some reason. Sorry. Terrible. But it passed. It says the SAVE Act passed in the House 221 to 198. Every Republican voted for it, which I'm shocked, because I thought there was some that were holding out. 5 Dems voted in favor of it, but 198 Democrats voted no. Sorry, let me get a drink. They want illegals to vote in our federal elections. Just think about that. How can anyone that you're talking to at church or your bowling league or whatever else saying that, you know, they want, you know, fair justice under the law, and they want to save money and groceries, and they say they want all these different things, but they still vote for Democrats, you know, when they know what the agenda is. And this right here is showing you 198 people that are supposed to be there because of us, you know, in our wherever you live. They're supposed to represent you, but are they? Are you one of the people that are standing in front of the ICE trucks and trying to stop them from taking criminals, you know, rapists, child molesters, thieves, and all those, because that's what they said off the thing. They've said those are the first ones that they're taking. Those are the ones they're going out and apprehending, because these states have them and they arrest them, put them in jail, and then they find out they're in jail. So they go there to get them. And then instead of handing them over to ICE, they just let them back out on the street to rob you, attack you, rape you, kill you, whatever, because they care more about putting that guy back on the street than they do about your safety or your family. But yet you're going to go vote for him again. We have a huge lack of common sense anymore in our country. For some reason, you'd think the first thing you'd think of is you'd look at your children and say, I want what's best for them. You know, I want a safe environment for my children, or my elderly grandma that's down the road from me. I can't be with her every day, so I want to make sure some guy's not staking out her house and wanting to go in and rob her. I mean, look, the one woman that just got kidnapped. We still don't know where she is and who took her or any of that stuff. But it happens every day. But the only reason they talked about that one is because her mother, the mother of some famous woman on CBS or whatever. That's the only reason. But if it was your grandma, they wouldn't give a shit. She wouldn't even be on the news. They would say, oh, she probably wandered off and fell off a ditch, or, you know, some bullshit, because they don't want to talk about it. You know, they never want to talk about it when has nothing to do with them, you know, at that moment. But the fact that this did pass, it's good for our country, because illegals shouldn't have the right to vote, period. If you're not an American citizen, and it's a slap in the face to all the people who came here to better their lives. They took all the classes, they learned about the Constitution, you know, all the things that they were supposed to do, and tried to learn English and stuff. And we're just handing all this free shit to everybody else, and they're not doing any of the stuff that these people did. Other immigrants, real immigrants, not illegal aliens. That's why I call them illegal aliens, because they're here illegally. They've already broke the law, sneaking into our country, not filling out the right paperwork or anything else. I would like to have any of you guys tell me what it's like to try to go into Canada without any paperwork. Just walk in. Tell me what happens to you. Sneak in and see what happens to you. Same thing in Mexico. Sneak down there and see if they ask you for anything. If you have no ID, you have nothing, no money, and then you go and say, I need a place to stay. And they're like, F you. They don't give a shit. You know, it's pathetic. We're the only country that does this shit. Well, I guess London, England is like corrupt and everything now because they got so many aliens. I saw a video. Someone sent me a couple of different videos showing London, and they said, where is this? But I didn't know it was London. And I was like, India? I mean, I was just guessing because of what the people looked like. It was almost all men walking around in the streets. And if you looked at the street signs and stuff, there was in other languages, you know, with squiggly lines and things like that. It wasn't signs that, you know, looked like they were in England. So I wouldn't have ever picked England, you know, London, but that's what it was. And I was like, wow, they're overrun. I mean, they're hurting. I don't know how they're going to get past that. I mean, once you get to a certain part and you're on the edge of the cliff, it's kind of hard to pull back if you have nothing to grab a hold of, and the people aren't trying to help you, you know? So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, look at New York right now. Look at Dearborn, Michigan. I mean, there's so many towns right now. One of my friends was telling me that there was like 3 mosques in a certain area in Texas being built, big ones, not just a little church like with the steeple and a small parking lot that won't even take up a little more than maybe 2 lots where a house would be built, that size, maybe 3 lots for a church, a regular, church. that you would go to on Sunday. These things are huge. They take up, acres and acres and acres of land for huge parking lots. And then got to remember, it's all separate because the men are in one area and the women are another. Women aren't, and kids aren't even allowed to. Well, I guess boys would be allowed to go with their dads in there if their dad wanted to, but it's pretty pathetic. I mean, the whole thing. I'm sorry if it's not equal to men and women, then I have a hard time believing that has anything to do with that's godly to that, because Jesus wouldn't do that, So I don't know. I guess I'm a little biased, but oh well, I am. So I wanted to share that because I thought the whole thing about the SAVE Act passing would make a lot of people happy, because a lot of us are really worried about the midterms, but that will help. Now we just have to make sure that people enforce it. And if they don't enforce it, then they should get arrested, and punished, period. But it's one thing at a time, I guess. Let me see. Let me close that off because I don't want to open it again like I did a few minutes ago. Oh, let me copy this and put it in the chat real quick for the SAVE Act in case you want to go and read some of the stuff that's underneath it, because there's some real good comments. A lot of people put a lot of stuff. Okay, let's see. What was this next one that I had? My internet is just really, really slow. I'm sorry, but it is Friday the 13th, and I live in the Hillbillyville, so makes it really hard. But I think it's this one. Yeah. Okay. It says U.S. citizenship and voter ID will be required for the SAVE Act. This will put an end to any cheating. Now, it will only put an end to cheating if the people working the polls aren't on the dole. You know what I'm saying? Like that one area, I think it was in Arizona, where they said, oh, we have a leak, everybody has to leave. And I told you that if I was working, that I would have said, okay, let's pick up our stuff and take it with us. And it wouldn't want us to. But the thing is, I swore, on a Bible to a judge saying I wouldn't let any of this stuff have anybody else mess with it or touch it or do anything to protect the rights of the people that were going to go through there and get these ballots from us in our little district. And if I would just walk out and leave them here, then how do I know who's touching it? So I couldn't leave that unattended. Unless I went to the restroom, but you're supposed to ask permission, and you'll have a judge or another person that's above you, not just your people at your table, know that you're getting up to go to the restroom or something like that. I don't know. I just think it's terrible. But let me do this real quick and play it for you.
Repeatedly urged the passing the SAVE Act, as well as many ag Republicans. What is the holdup in the Senate? Why hasn't that been brought to the floor for a vote? And what's your stance on requiring proof of citizenship to vote in elections?
Well, I'm for that. I've co-sponsored the SAVE Act in the past. I think my understanding is that they are still modifying the bill. It includes right now a requirement that you be a citizen to register to vote, but it doesn't include a requirement that to vote you be a resident. So in other words, if you're going to have what we call voter ID or photo ID when somebody goes into the ballot box to vote, that's not currently covered in the bill. So that's being fixed and addressed, and I think the new bill that comes out hopefully will deal with that. But I mean, at some point we'll have that vote. I'm for it. I think most of our colleagues in the Senate are, and I don't, it hasn't had consideration in the relevant committee yet. But I know there's a high level of interest among our members in getting a vote on SAVE Act.
So, I just thought it was hilarious how anyone could argue that, oh, who cares if you have an ID or any of that stuff? How do you prove who you are and that you're the one that's supposed to be able to get that ballot if you have no proof of who you are? It just doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous. I want kids to have an ID to be able to buy cigarettes and beer. Okay. So if you got to have an ID to buy cigarettes and beer or to prove who you are, like me, every week, every 5 days, I have to go get allergy medicine. Okay. For 12-hour, Allegra or Claritin with decongestant in it. I have to show my ID. And if I try to buy it 2 days early, because I already have 2 pills left, they won't sell it to me. And they'll say, oh, you can't sell it to you because you can make meth out of it. This is what they tell me because I have an ID and I can't buy stuff for my sinuses without an ID to prove who I am so that the cops can arrest me if they think that I'm buying too much to make meth. But yet you can vote for the president of the United States or a governor or whatever that makes laws around American citizens, and they're not even a citizen. I think I'm glad we did it. I'm thankful because we needed it. Okay. And the fact that anyone would argue against that, it doesn't make any sense. They definitely can't be paying taxes because if they were to just to come to their house and say, here, let me see your wallet, and you open it and they count out your money. Let's see, you have a certain amount of money in there, and they take half of your cash and say, okay, we'll be back next week. And they did that every week because you're going to pay their way. I think then they would understand what I'm talking about. But apparently some people have to have it laid out like that for them to understand that you are handing half of your money to these people and they're not earning it. They're not putting any money into the system. They're just taking from it. But they just don't seem to understand for some reason. I just don't get it. I don't know. And I don't even think I'm very smart, because I didn't go to college. I went to school to learn how to make flower arrangements and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just don't understand what do you have to understand that it's your money because you're an American citizen and they're taking taxes out for your roads and things like that for your state. But they also take federal taxes out too to pay for our military, to protect our borders, that kind of stuff. But why should they get some of my money and get to eat and have a place to live and all that on my dime when I'm struggling to pay my own bills? It just, I don't know. I just don't see the uproar in these people expecting to be treated differently. But I don't know. I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. But okay, let me let's go to this next thing. Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay. A couple months back, I played I had a show, and it was about Epstein's victims. The ones that, because I keep telling people, you want to know all these answers, you want all these answers for the Epstein list or whatever. All you got to do is talk to the victims. Who better knows what went on there but the people that were taken there and used, right? Well, I had a couple of videos of them doing interviews, 2 of the victims, and I'm always sharing it. And I'm going to share that again. It was on one of my shows, After Hours. But first, I'm going to bring this up because this was brought out from some of the Epstein documents. And I wanted to share this because I talked about this exact subject on that show. And I was kind of worried a little bit because that's the kind of stuff I talk about when YouTube would flag me and say, oh, it's the rules, we're going to take it down. And they've taken videos down because of it and given me a strike and took me down for 2 weeks or whatever because of it. But it was stuff, the actual victim talking about it, stuff like that. I just don't understand that. But this is showing an email from someone named Brian Bishop, whether that's their real name or not, to Jeffrey Epstein. Okay. And they're talking about designer babies. It says, I have talked with Austin again, and we have a series of questions about how serious you are about wanting this and what the ground rules are for even exploring this with you and getting to the next steps. Most of these questions are around your requirements for secrecy and privacy, specifically regarding the reputational risk and also any financial involvement. I think there would also need to be some understanding about goals and feasibility of different results. I think one way this could be done is under the banner of my Designer Babies project, since the other deliverable is similar and shares so many of the same procedures and lab requirements. This might be an offer of significant level of deniability. So basically, this was an email going back and forth about them getting together to see whether or not they want to move forward on this whole Designer Babies thing. Well, she talked about it. One of the victims, and she talked about how, what was his name? Bill Gates, I guess, was one of the ones that came to the island with one time when she was there, but the other time she was taken to New Mexico to the ranch. And that's why I said a lot of people don't realize that the ranch is one of the biggest things that no one talks about, when victims were taken there also. So why nobody talks about the ranch, I don't know. But I think more and more stuff's going to come out about them being at the ranch when they took some of their victims there and what was going on there. Because she was saying in the interview, and I'm going to put the link up there for you if you want to see it, but you can just look up their names and I'll put it on here. One of them's name was the one that was talking about the use of Juliet Bryant was her name. And she was talking about how she wasn't being used for sex, but she was being hold on for a second. Are you talking to me? Oh, sorry. Okay. Somebody was behind me talking in back behind my curtain here. Sorry about that. I lost my train of thought, but she was talking about that they weren't using her for sex at this time, but that they had other girls there and they were taking samples from them. So she didn't really say in the one interview that I watched exactly what kind of samples they were taking, but she said that they would take skin and then it would take blood. And then some of them, she thinks they were taking their eggs from them, things like that. And then the other girl, one of the ones that supposedly committed suicide recently, like last year, when she lived with her husband, that she had left in the United States and went to Australia to live, but that she had told one of the other girls in front of this girl, Juliet Bryant, and that Juliet was talking about it in this interview, that she was showing this cut she had in her belly button. And she's like, it was really weird because it was itching. And she was like wondering how she got it. And one of the girls said, well, it looks like they either harvested an embryo from you or took some of your eggs. And she's like, what do you mean? And she was trying to explain to her about how they go down through your belly button using one of those, camera things. And then they just take stuff out or tie your tubes and do all this stuff. And they usually do it through the belly button because it doesn't leave a scar where, you can see it. So, because most people don't think about that. So it was very interesting that this kind of stuff is starting to come out, because a lot of people think, it's just going to be a bunch of politicians and rich people all doing, sick things with girls and boys or whatever, and have pictures and all this stuff. And I'm not saying they didn't do that, but a lot of the stuff she also talked about was the adrenochrome, of how they would hook them up to machines or whatever to take their blood. Like, I've done this, not for the adrenochrome, but I have high platelet count. So I would go into the Red Cross and they'd hook me up to a machine, one on each arm, and my blood would go through it and they'd strain out some of my platelets and then, put the blood back in and warm it up and put it back in. So I had such a high count and I wanted to help. But I did that for years, helping, people with hemophilia, things like that. And that's what it was for. But she was saying they were doing these things to get, scare you, like they're going to cut you and do horrible things to you or show you scary things, which I don't know what it was, like killing an animal in front of them, to get their adrenochrome to, their adrenaline start pumping through their body, young kids. that were hooked up on these machines, and then they'd take that blood and they would drink it and use it on their skin and all kinds of sick stuff like that. So this stuff's starting to come out. So it's a lot of stuff about why you would think these kids, these young girls, when they were captured or got, were able to get out and help, talked about it, and then people would just kind of like look at them like, oh, these people are crazy, because they were talking about the devil and doing rituals and all this different stuff. This kind of stuff happening to them could be what they thought it was a ritual. They were trying to scare them so they could drain their blood from them that was filled with stuff that they think that makes them young or whatever else, because it's full of adrenaline. So, I mean, I can tell you right now, when they jab you in the leg to get you to wake back up after you've had like an allergic reaction and stuff, I think that's like adrenaline or whatever. I don't know for sure, but that's what it does. It bursts your adrenaline. So it's just sick. Some of the stuff coming out is really sick. But I'm going to close this. I'm going to copy this page because there's so much stuff. And you can get online now and go and type in certain things that you want to see if you can find in the Epstein files and find it. Like this one page that has certain names redacted. But another show that I did months before that was a guy talking about how when they first released some of the documents, people were taking them, copying them and pasting them somewhere else. And when they pasted it to look at it, it didn't have the redactions. It didn't have any of the blacked out things. So people were taking, thousands of pages and getting it unredacted because I don't know why, but for some reason, when they released it, they didn't make sure that it was able to, to do that. But, I've been talking about this kind of stuff for a long time, and I've gotten in trouble a few times because they didn't like the topic that I was talking about, like the Comet ping pong stuff, the emails between Podesta and Hillary Clinton and different things like that I put on my show, and I got my channel taken down. Okay. wasn't monetized or anything like that. So, I didn't even think that they'd care about a teeny channel like mine. I mean, I barely have 1,500, subscribers, when they have other people like Tucker Carlson and stuff with hundreds of thousands of people. And I know they talk about it because one time I had my channel taken down was because I showed a couple snippets out of an interview with Tucker talking to the Surgeon General of Florida about the jab, right? About different things that he wasn't going to do in his state because he didn't have enough information about the jab, and he was going to stop letting them give it to kids and things like that. Well, they took that video down. So they said it was medical misinformation. And I'm like, he's the Surgeon General of Florida. But guess what? They took my channel down, my little snippet of it. But guess what? It was still up on Tucker's channel. But it's because, they were biased against me because I'm little and I only have a few people, and they didn't like what I was talking about. But because they need the revenue from his huge amount of people, they let him have it up there. So I don't know. To me, it's unfair. They pick on some, but not everyone, it's like this. Here's the law, up here's where their friends are at. And if you're down there, screw you. They don't care. So it's pathetic the way things are doing. But I'm glad this is starting to come out. And I really hope that people will read some of these documents and then go back and listen to more and more interviews with a lot of these victims, because back when they were first talking about it, people thought they were nuts. They thought they were drug addicts. They thought they were alcoholics and all these things. And that's why a lot of these girls quit talking, because people were treating them bad. They were telling them they were liars, or their stories didn't make sense, or they'd roll their eyes and, do all that stuff. Why should a victim come out and try to tell people but what happened if nobody acts like they believe them? So like if you have a young kid that comes to you that's 7 or 8 years old, and they tell you that somebody touching them or hurting them, and you just say, oh, stop making up stories. Why would you do that? You'd want to sit and listen to what they're saying and then look into it to see if there's any facts with it, right? but it's just sad to see how people treated some of these girls, and it's really bad. And that's why a lot of them decided, when they were able to just get some money from Epstein's brother, when they went to court, they took a payout, and then they signed non-disclosures and stopped talking about it, because it was easier for them to just try to get on with their life and not talk about it anymore than it was to just keep being treated like dirt, like it was their fault that they were taken there, stuff like that. People just don't, I don't know. I get really upset about it, and I'm very passionate about it, because it's like they blame the victims all the time. The victims are the one reason that there's a problem. We have a problem because we got a lot of sick sons of bitches out there that abuse young people. Okay. They're not even old enough to really even know what's going on, but they're being abused. And then they grew up thinking it's their fault, that if they had done something different, then maybe that wouldn't happen. And then when they told their parents and no one listened to them, you know, it's the whole thing is just a huge mess. And the only way to get to the bottom of it is if people listen to other people, write it down. And if you don't believe them, don't say it to their face. Just say thank you for the information and leave, and just leave it that way. You don't have to hurt people just to get your point across. It's sad that people do that to other people just to hurt someone because they think they're stupid or whatever the reason is. There's no reason worth that. So please try not to do that if you can do it. But let me stop sharing that. Sorry, I went on a rant. I can't help it. I do that a lot. I'm sorry. But I'm going to bring up my after hours thing really quick. Let me show you what I was talking about. Yeah, right here. This is the episode that I played on my channel about the interviews and the pictures and stuff that they had with some of these people. Okay. And many of them talked about Bill Clinton. A few of them talked about what's his name? Obama. But she mentioned that he didn't go there for girls. He went there for island boys. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to be coming out, but it's going to take a lot of time for actual people that give a shit about the truth to read through all these documents. Okay, you can't just read one page and say, "Oh well, there's nothing in here. It's all redacted." That's not true, and more unredacted stuff's coming out. I can understand why they would redact it, because let's say that Juliette Bryant didn't want her name out there. She's a victim. She should have the right to have her name redacted out of every sheet, especially if she was real popular with the guys that were going to these islands, or I want some of her eggs, or I want to have a party with her or whatever. Maybe she was at the New York place. She was also at the ranch, and then she was on the plane, and she was at the island. So she's going to be on lots of documents. So you're going to have a lot of redacted names because there's a lot of people were used at all these different places. So it's just pathetic that people that don't know anything about it, haven't spent any time looking into it, bitch and moan, they're hiding for them, they're doing this or covering for them. It's bullshit. Okay, they're releasing stuff. So go freaking read this stuff and stop complaining about it. If you want to know the truth, listen to Juliette Bryant and Virginia Guthrie and other people through their own words, what happened to them and who did it. Okay, that's how you get facts. They're the victims. So if you're pissed off and you want these victims to get, justice, that's how you give them justice, by listening to what they have to say and going by that. Because that document that I got proves that what Juliette Bryant was talking about is true. And when more of those documents come out, we're going to have more proof that what she was saying was true, that they were using these girls, some of them, some sick sons of bitches that wanted to do certain things because they want to be a Frankenstein doctor, like the ones that were chopping up the young girls and boys and trying to make them into an opposite gender. Well, good. I want to see all these people be brought to justice. We have lots and lots of layers that we have to go through. But the best thing for you to do, if you really care, is listen to the victims. take that and then go to the documents and start looking up what they talked about, where it was happening. Was it at the New Mexico ranch? Was it at the New York apartment that he had? Was it in at the island, or was it on the plane, or was it even on the yacht? See, there was lots of places. So that's why you get so many documents with so many different names, because you had people that were landscaping, you had people that cooked, you had people that cleaned, you had people that brought clothes and dropped them off, or you had people that brought food or pizza and dropped it off. You had all these thousands and thousands of people that interacted with all these different places that probably had nothing to do with any of it and didn't even realize what was going on in the other. It's not any different than them delivering Uber Eats to your house because you ordered pizza and sub sandwiches. Does that person, when they interview them, oh yeah, what were they doing in there? Were they raping people? Were they doing drugs? How would they know? They dropped something off at the door and left. See, that's what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of shit in there that doesn't have anything to do with anything. But and their name shouldn't be dragged through the dirt just because they happen to deliver something or work on a light or put new light bulbs in. Who knows what? So be patient. If you want to know the truth, listen to the victims. I've said that till I'm a broken record, but only people that listen and actually give a shit are the ones that are going to pay attention. But this episode, it's Epstein's Victims is the one. And it's got some interviews in it. And I have some different stuff all through that with information that you can write down, and then just fast forward through stuff and then write it down, or look through the chat, the replay, and get some stuff from that. And then go get on internet and start researching it. Start looking stuff up yourself, getting the facts yourself, because no one will be feeding it to you then. It's all what you are willing to spend time looking for. And to me, the best place to get any information is from the victims, period. Now, you will have to weed through some of it, because you got to remember they're traumatized. They've been through a lot of shit. And maybe they have popped some pills to deaden the pain. Maybe they had a few drinks. So you have to go through that too. You see what I mean? But that's who I would start with. I would always start with the victims, the ones that were hurt, the ones that had to go through the shit. Those are the ones that know stuff. Well, hello. Thank you for stopping in. I'm sorry. I know I always go on a rant. I can't help it. I'm very passionate about it. And I get so upset with people who just like, they don't want to know. I remember one time someone had asked some questions about different things that go on with human trafficking. And I was trying to talk about this documentary. It's called The Eyes of the Devil. And it's about the person that did the Eyes of the Devil documentary was talking about how he found out about people being trafficked, but not just that. He found one girl that was pregnant, and she was homeless. She lives on the street. She was approached by this group of people because they wanted her baby to sell, right? Not to sell for money to a family that's going to take good care of it, to sell for trafficking, to traffic a newborn, because they're worth a lot of money. Okay, and I know it sounds disgusting, but it's real. It really does happen. Now, do you in the chat think a woman that's homeless, has nothing, and they said they're going to pay all her bills, they're going to pay her some money, take care of her and everything until she has the baby, and she wants to pay any medical bills, and they'll give her money to go out and be able to get off the street? Okay, she's pregnant. She doesn't ask any questions. She doesn't want to know what they're going to do with the baby. She just, because they told her, well, don't worry, we're going to take care of it. Well, the guy doing the documentary had 4 brothels. And everyone in these 4 brothels in different places, not in the United States, this is in Europe, were 10 and under. Okay. They had women, house mothers or whatever, that would take care of the kids. That means if they got bruises or they got, cut up, tore up, where they were bleeding profusely, they would call the doctors. The doctors would come, but not doctors in the hospital, people that would come and fix the young kids that were all torn up inside, from the torture they just went through. Things like that. It's horrible. But the good thing is you don't see anything. Everybody's blurred out. So the only people you see are a few of the bad people, the ones that are doing the trafficking. That kind of, you don't see any of the kids. You don't see any of the victims. And the guy ends up buying the baby at the end. And then he takes the baby to a church with a bunch of nuns that will help him find a home for the baby. So he does do something. Okay, this is a person who put his money where his mouth is to help stop this and to bring it to light. But guess what? When I was talking about it during this space, this one lady goes, "Oh my God, I haven't even had my first cup of coffee. I don't want to hear this stuff." She was all pissed off because I was talking about the facts and talking about this documentary. And some people just don't want to know. They don't want to know that this kind of nasty shit happens. But I can tell you right now, if I had my way, any person that would pay $500,000 to have sex with a newborn baby doesn't deserve to live. Okay. As they talked about that, it was very gruesome, the whole thing. But the thing is, they don't live, the babies don't live, but they have people there to harvest organs and sell them from the children that die that are in these brothels. So it's horrible. And that the children begged to be killed. They wanted to die. Just think about a 6-year-old looking you in the eye and say, "Please kill me. Please kill me." They don't want to live anymore. It's horrible. It's a horrible thing. And that's why I'm so passionate. Okay. I have reasons that I'm very passionate about it, but no child should ever have to go through that. And those people shouldn't have the right to live. I mean, they should all be in prison, every one of them. So I asked the chat to tell me if they thought that, if you guys thought that you should be able to buy a newborn baby. If you were a young girl, what should she do if she's in that position? If nobody wants to help her and she's on the street and she's pregnant, and somebody comes and says, "Hey, we're going to take your baby. We'll pay you money. We'll find a home for it, blah, blah, blah." And she didn't really know what was going to happen until this guy was able to go in and pay these people to interview them. Okay. About what was going on, interview the young woman, the young girl that was on the street. It was horrible. But the name of the documentary is called Eyes of the Devil. Okay. So all you got to do is write that down and then later go look it up. You will be shocked, but it's real. Okay. This happens every single day right now in 2026. Okay. So it's sad to say that, but that's why I'm passionate. I just wanted you guys to know that. But please, if you want to really know the truth, listen to the victims. That's who knows the truth. And it may not be something you want to hear, especially a lot of men. Men have a hard time dealing with it. But the only way to help these people is to get the truth out there so that we can actually arrest people and put people in prison and get real help for these victims. That's what they need. But now you got to remember, these victims from the Epstein stuff are, grown-ups now. And a lot of them have families. They've moved on. But there's new victims every single day. It's what I'm trying to say. But hi, Hardwick. I'm sorry, I wasn't reading the chat. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They would do any of these things, anything that they felt was going to terrorize these victims for whatever reason. They got their jollies off doing this shit. I mean, I'm telling you, I've seen some sick stuff. The videos that I watched off the laptop that they tried to pretend weren't real, which I could definitely tell were real. With him smoking the crack pipe and sniffing coke off little kids' ass. I mean, you could see some of the faces of these young girls and stuff. It was sickening. It's disgusting. All of it's disgusting. And I want all of these people, I don't care who they are, to be brought to justice, but to bring names out of people that have nothing to do with any of it and ruin their lives, like what happened with those 5 lacrosse guys that were accused of raping that girl. right? And then later on, they found out she lied. But guess what? All of them lost their scholarship. Their whole lives were ruined because of lies being told about them. And the other night when I was talking about the Hayes Code and what happened to Fatty Arbuckle, okay, he was accused of raping and this girl dying because of it a couple days afterwards, supposedly, because he raped her at a party, okay, because another person, it was a con artist, told people that's what happened, even though she didn't witness it. She just said she was her friend and that's what happened. Well, after the third mistrial, the jury apologized to him for him going through all that with no proof, no evidence or anything. But word of mouth can hurt people. Lies, making up stuff about somebody and using their name can get people, ruin their livelihood. They have no income. I watched a trial the other day where the daughter and the son and the living husband of the woman who committed suicide got paid so many $1 million from the hospital for basically terrorizing the mother so much that she ended up killing herself. And they won in court. Yeah, frazzle drip. Yeah, I know all about that too. I've tried to talk about that and I got in trouble. So I get in trouble a lot. And I might get in trouble for some of the things I've said in this, even though I'm not sharing any pictures or anything like that. It's my opinion. And I said that at the very beginning. Everything that you hear on it is my opinion, what I believe. Or people on the panel. Normally I have more than me, but it's just me tonight. So it's all on me. But I've said it a million times. Anyone that's known me for a while, talked to me off of this app and things like that, just know that this is things that I am very passionate about. I'm very passionate about our veterans being taken care of. I'm very passionate about children being abused or trafficking. These are three of my hot topics. And all this Epstein stuff that's coming out, I'm thankful for, but I'm glad that they are trying to keep people's name out that had nothing to do with anything. Just like this picture you see right here. Guess what? This is being talked to about this person and the other. Both people in this picture are talked about by these victims being there. Not just at the island, but in New York and on the yacht and on the plane and in New Mexico at the ranch, So these people were there for entertainment purposes using young women and some boys. So it's important that you listen to what the victims say in their interviews. And there's many, many, many interviews out there with way more than just these two victims that I talk about in the show. But to me, it's important because the victims should be heard. And now that there's evidence coming out in these emails and stuff and other things that are in these documents, proving that what these girls were saying that everybody laughed at and said they were nuts or they're outlandish, it don't make any sense, whatever. I heard tons of terrible stuff. And I posted something today over on my channel about what Holman was saying about rescuing 3,300 something kids, and they were talking bad about it, said, oh, that's not what really happened, they're lying about it, blah, blah, blah. It's sad that you can't even get people to be thankful. Yay, we saved 3,000 kids, yay, that's what I voted for. Okay, you can't even say that because people get pissed off because you're happy that this administration's the reason it happened. It's pathetic that you point the finger anywhere besides at the kids saying, yes, I did the same thing when Obama was helping kids get back with their parents and things like that. I don't care who the president is. I care that the kids are being taken care of. They're being fed. The veterans are getting a good place to sleep. They're getting medicine. They're getting the money they need to get their hip replacement surgery or whatever it is because they earned it. They're freaking veteran. Okay. I would have joined the military, but my dad said the military was no place for a woman. And he had 5 daughters. And the job that my dad did, jungle survival instructor, I believed him. You know, I believed the stuff my dad told me because he's my dad. Why would he make up shit and lie to me about it? And I felt he loved me and he cared about me, and he didn't think that any of his daughters or any woman basically should be in combat and stuff like that. And he tried to explain all that to me, but I believe that because he's my dad. So, you know, but that doesn't mean I can't respect people in the military and what people do when they join the military, the sacrifices they might end up having to make. You know, I don't have any problem with that. And I think that I wish more people, I don't know, loved our veterans and cared more about our veterans, whether they're Democrats or not. I don't care what religion they are. I don't care, you know, who they voted for. I care the fact they sided the dotted line and they served our country. They protected our borders. They were in the Army, or they were in the Marines, or they were in the Air Force, or they were in the Coast Guard. It doesn't matter to me. The fact that they did it is enough. Okay, that's how I look at it. But let me close this. Sorry, I go on another rant. I always do that. And then let's see, what's this other one? Okay, I did that one already, and I showed you that, and I put it in the chat. Okay, so now this next thing is another. Let's see, what was it? Gotta make sure I stay in order. Trying to. Okay, this next thing is about what Pam Bondi did when she went and did her, I think she went before Congress. I think that's what it was. So let me bring that up real quick. In just a minute, and I'll read the chat after I bring this up. I'm behind on there. Let's see, I think it's this one right here. I always click on the wrong one. I don't know how I get them out of order so bad. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is it. Okay, yeah, it is. All right, now I'm going to go back and I'm going to look through the chat real quick because I'm going to see. Let's see. Got another one in my chat. Wow, thank you for having to stop in and bash people and stuff. So hope you enjoy yourself. Your keyboard warrior, that's what I like. Let's see. Oh, okay, let's see what you wrote here. In one email he wrote, said that she felt God's presence next to her when she was in bed, and she knows what Jesus watches over her, and he helped save her life. Oh, how sweet is that? You know, I heard lots of stories like that. I remember one little girl at a place I went to. It was a battered women's shelter, and I was helping with it. I wasn't at the shelter when I got to hear it. They had these like little group sessions at a different place because they tried to keep it where as few people as possible knew where the battered women's shelter was at. And the little girl was talking about, before they got to come to the battered women's shelter, that when her father, I guess, was there and he was beating their mother and slapping the older daughter around too, because she was trying to stop her dad from beating her mother to death. And the little one said that, I'm gonna get emotional. I do every time. Hold on for a second. He grabbed the little girl and took her behind the couch and sat down with her and said, you don't need to watch. You just need to sing this song. And then she said it was Jesus that came and took her behind the couch. I just think it's so sad that any kid has to go through that kind of crap, even if it's just their parents fighting, or the dad beating the wife, or whatever is going on. They're both drug addicts. Any of those things. It's just sad that children's lives are affected by this kind of crap. It's just horrible, and I wish it wouldn't do it. But all we can do is share what we know, and hopefully stop it from happening to someone else. And that's why I'm adamant about doing this kind of stuff, because to me it's important that people know the facts, you know, and they read and they research. If find things out for themselves instead of just believing what one person told them, and never look into any of it, because they don't want to take the time out to find out for themselves that maybe the person's lying to you that told you that one thing. So if I was really worried about what I said on that other thing, why would I post the video and say, go listen to the victims? Because that's what she was talking about. And in many of her videos, interviews that she did, that's what she talked about, was the scientific experiments and stuff that they used. Some of the people chose certain girls for these experiments. So it's terrible. But yeah, it's the right thing, is do your own research. I don't understand why that's so hard for some people, but they don't want to. They rather troll you, harass you, and try to, get a rise out of you or whatever. I'm not crying because someone's got a rise out of me. I'm crying because I have feelings for these people, what they went through, these young girls that had nobody there. And the fact that she felt Jesus was there with her is wonderful. She had enough faith to believe that Jesus was. And how do I know that he wasn't there with her? To make sure that, to try to help her stay sane. Why what was happening to her happened to her. So I don't know. But it says some of the Epstein files showed that when the victim got older, Epstein made them become, perpetrators themselves. That's what I talked about a little bit. I think it was in a space yesterday. I was talking about it because that's what a lot of people don't understand. When the redactions and stuff that you're seeing, you don't know why they redacted it unless you're sitting there talking to the lawyer that said this, that, and the other, pointing out what needed to be redacted. Okay. The reason they do that is because there's legal stuff going on with all the different people involved. Okay. You might have a victim that started out, let's say she was 12. They bring her into the organization as a victim. Okay. And she's being abused. We don't know what they're doing to her. They could be raping her, sodomizing her, using her for scientific experiments, draining her of her blood when she's screaming and crying and to get adrenochrome or whatever. They could be doing, we don't know what they're doing. Okay. Unless you listen to what she tells you, the victim. But after she goes through all that, the trauma, and then you have like Ghislaine Maxwell, okay, or other girls like Ghislaine, they go to him and say, oh, it's okay, I understand, men are horrible, they do terrible things to girls, and then I'm going to try to help you, and I'm going to help you get past it, because we're gonna get you out of here, or whatever she has to say to him, right? Just like I was talking about with the brothel earlier with the kids 10 and under. They give them drugs, or they give them alcohol, whatever, to help them calm down and stuff. And then they, let them have a couple of days off and have bubble baths and whatever else to pamper them, to make her feel like they can trust her. See what I mean? They always have that. That's why they use some of the victims to help get new victims. Like they'll send one of the young girls to the bus stop or to different places to talk to people. Like there was a friend of mine that does works in human trafficking stuff in Texas. One of the girls that they got, and how they got her was she was at a football game, and she's in a arena area with her parents. Well, she didn't have her cell phone because she had gotten grounded, and her parents took it from her. I think she was like 14, something like that. Well, she had to go to the bathroom, and they were in one of those booths or whatever. So she goes out and she goes around a little bit, but there's cameras, in there. She goes around a little bit down, and there's a restroom. So she goes in there, but when she's in there, there's another woman, a young woman in there. And she's like, oh, this is boring or whatever. Do you want to come out and listen to some music with me? I'm going to go hang out in my parents' truck or whatever, to get the girl to go. And she said, yeah, that sounds fun. So she's a teenager. She's 14, and for some reason, when we're a teenager, we don't think about time, tick, 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 10 minutes has already gone by. Your mom's going to be thinking about you in 10 more minutes. that type of thing. We don't think about that. Well, she went outside and guess what? Put her in her truck and drove off. By the time they found her, because they started right away, because the parents knew right away that something was wrong because she didn't come back. So when they went looking for her, they got on the cameras, they found her, they saw the girl, take her outside, blah, blah, blah. So they were able to track right away because she had parents that were on the ball right away. They tracked and they were able to find her before they got her over the border, but she'd already been sold twice. That's how fast. Like that. They'll dye your hair, they'll cut your hair short, they'll change your clothes, whatever it takes. They do the same thing with babies. If you got a baby in a grocery cart at a big shopping center and you turn away and you turn back and your baby's gone, you have a woman take the baby or whatever, whoever grabs the baby, they pass it off to another person and to another person, 3 or 4 people, take it to the bathroom, dye its hair, shave its head, whatever, change its clothes, put it in a thing, give it a drug or whatever, put it to sleep so it's not screaming and crying for mom, and they leave. That's how fast it happens. I've done the operation, I can't remember the name of it now. Damn, I went blank. But that's what they do. That's how they get kids in malls, grocery stores, stuff like that. They take them because they want specific kinds of children, and it's not easy to get them sometimes. And not everyone's willing to sell their kid to you. You know what I mean? So it's sad. The whole thing is pitiful and disgusting, but it's real. Okay. It's not made up. It's not a movie. It's real. And it's really happening. And if you want to help, the best way for you to help is to listen to what the victims say, go research and share that. Say, this is what the victim said, and this is what the emails are saying. This is the evidence that's coming out to prove what those victims were saying and who. So if what they said happened to them comes out in these documents and they have emails showing who's talking about it, there you go. You got people that know what happened to those victims. You got links. So links start laying on top of each other. And that next thing you know who the person is. And she'll say, that's who it is. Get a lineup, just like any other crime. You add the evidence together, and that's how you get the facts. Then you start prosecuting people. But if we don't listen to the victims, how are we supposed to ever get enough evidence to prove these are the people that did it? See what I mean? So I don't know. I just don't know why some of these people have to be such assholes and think that, oh, I'm going to go hound this person until they commit suicide and cut their wrists because that's what's fun. You know, they might as well join Epstein and the rest of his people because that's what you do. That's what you do. You're a tyrant. You're disgusting. You know, you're just one of them. Those type of thought process is what you are. But let's see. Well, you'd hope the mom would find a way to get their baby to a safe place. But see, it's sad is that you'll have a mom that has 3 kids. Okay. 2 of them are running around grabbing stuff off the shelves, opening packages while she's trying to get groceries. Okay. And then she has a little one in the chair. But she turns around, she's arguing with her kid or whatever, and the baby gets taken and she gets them stopped fighting or whatever, and she gets them settled down. That's when she realizes it's gone. But what's sad is the only reason they steal these kids or traffic these kids is because there's people that are willing to pay for them. So if you prosecute the people that are paying and also the people that are taking them, put them in prison, not this, then it will stop. It'll get less and less and less and less. And then also the parents, you teach the parents. Now, people made fun of me, even my own sisters, because when my daughter was little, I had 2 daughters. One of them, I had a little wristband around her wrist. And the other one had a little backpack with a handle on it, you know, with a leash on it. And they made fun of it, said I was treating my kids like they were dogs. I'd be ashamed to do that, embarrass my kids that way. They're 2 and 4. You know, how do you embarrass them? I want to make sure I know where they're at. If I turn around and I feel the leash get tight, I can turn before they're gone. See what I mean? So I don't know. I don't understand. Even in my own family, they made fun of me. I had people making fun of me because I did that. But guess what? None of my kids were taken. No one's ever hurt one of my children. And I'm thankful for that, to God, that God gave me knowledge and helped me to keep my kids safe. But, not everybody gets that for some reason. So let me see. Let me move down a little bit more here. Trying to look at the chat before I go into the next thing. Yes, I understand what you're saying about the email. But what I'm saying is that I'm hoping that the young girl didn't see it that way, that she really felt that Jesus was with her. That's what I was trying to say. And that's why I told you the story about the other little girl, that because of whatever was happening in front of her, it was too much for her. There's a movie that came out a long, long time ago, and I saw it a couple times. My mother thought it was real important that we watch it. It was Sally Field in it, and she was a girl that had been so badly abused. She had like 16 personalities, and I cannot remember the name of it to save the life of me right now. But I remember every single time I watched it, I cried my eyes out because I couldn't understand how someone could be that horrible to a child. You know what I mean? Or to anyone. To see hidden video of elderly people in nursing homes being beaten, and starved and stabbed with needles, that just go in there and just go down their leg and stab them just to be mean to them because they just hate their job so much they take it out on their victims, which are nursing people in a nursing home. So it doesn't just happen to kids. So this kind of torture and abuse is from sick motherfuckers, okay, that have these jobs and they don't want the job. They hate who they're working for. So they take their anger out on them. That's what I'm trying to say. A person that will get online, in here, on any of these apps and harass people because they're talking about something they don't agree with or they don't like or whatever it is, and they harass them and say, well, like the post that I had on my one of the posts that I had of Mother's Day last year on my channel, and I'm in a little channel, I have 1,500 people. And somebody posted on my thing and said, "Happy Mother's Day, Janet. It's a shame I can't understand a word you're saying because you have Trump's dick in your mouth." See, that's what I'm talking about. Those people, those are the same people that defend criminals, that think that it's okay to do some of the things that's happened to these women that are now women. And the kids at the brothels and all the different things that I've talked about, all the things that I've seen and tried to share with other people. Those are the same type of people. That they got the same mental problem about truth and about taking stuff out on victims instead of worrying about trying to really get the evidence and take it out on the people that are the real criminals. Those are the ones that should suffer, not the victims. Oh, my rolling clouds. Yeah, sorry. I love it. I think it's beautiful. And I made that myself. I have been trying to teach myself to make all these different videos, backgrounds, all this different stuff. I've been doing it all by myself, trying, day after day. I'll sit here for hours and make one little 30-second loop video. It's pathetic. But I love it, and I know that there's people in here that are really, really good on computers, and this is what they do for a living. To you, it's like it's really fast and easy. But people like me that, I made floral arrangements, stuff like that, or I did a stand-in job, stuff has nothing to do with anything like this. So me getting to start learning how to do this, I feel like I have a small sense of accomplishment that I did that. And it turned out really pretty. It turned out to be a really nice little video. And some of the endings, videos that you've seen at the very end, I've edited those on. I think it's called Clip Champ. I've got that. I've got 4 or 5 other different things that I've got, and I don't want to pay for them. So I use it for a couple times a week because it's free if I'm going to use it so many times. And then I have another one that I use, so that's why some of them have this name or that name on the back. It's because I I use all the different free stuff and try to learn. But thank you. I think it's pretty. I really enjoy them. And it's, I'm not perfect at it, but I think I'm getting better. So, as long as we strive to get better, I think that's a good thing. See, the other person suggesting that Epstein to dress up as Jesus the next time visits the girl. Yeah, it's sickening, isn't it? It's sick. People, I don't understand how people can't see the evil coming out of this stuff. I read it and it just makes my stomach churn. Even though him dressing up as Jesus isn't the worst thing that could happen, right? Physically. But mentally, to a person who is religious, right, it's devastating. See, and that's what's so sad about it. The wacky, weird, corrupt perversion that these people had at the island, on the yacht, on the plane, at the residence in New York, and at the ranch. All those people that went there to do these things to these girls had that sick mentality. Not just to rape and have sex with girls they knew were underage. They knew they were there being forced to be there, right? Because that's why it was so secretive. That's why you had to have the pizza slice and the hot dog party and all, had to have all these ways of speaking to each other in emails because they knew it was wrong. You can't tell me that Hillary Clinton, okay, a lawyer from years ago that was involved in the Whitewater scandal in Arkansas and all the other shit that was going on, the drug trafficking out of Mina with her and her husband, blah, blah, blah. This is all stuff that people know about, okay? That she didn't know that when she put that server in her bathroom, that it was an illegal server and had secret and beyond secret stuff going through that was wrong. But see, in her mind, she's way better than any of us. She is the god, basically. You should treat her like a god. You saw how upset she got when she found out she didn't win because she thought the fix was in and she was pissed off. And she said, heads are going to roll. If I go down, you're all going down with me. That's the kind of stuff she was saying. And same thing, Nancy Pelosi says the same kind of shit. It's because they think that they're above the law because of who they are. They're narcissists. If you go and read about narcissists, that's another thing. A lot of people, I'm not saying everyone that's a narcissist is this type of person, because you have to have some narcissistic tendencies to be able to achieve certain things because you're not willing to quit. You're going to fight all the way to the end. That's a narcissistic tendency. You know what I mean? So there's just so much stuff that we have to consider when we're reading this stuff, just like what Hardwick's talking about in those emails. You have to read between the lines, basically, because some of this stuff is fucked up. I mean, really bad. I mean, it's really bad stuff. And it's not beating someone. Okay. Beating someone is one thing. Stabbing them is another. Cutting them up, dissecting them, shaving their head, doing all these things it's like ritual torture. That's why I really believe a lot of the stories that came out from some of these victims, when they were talking about it, they thought it was devil worshiping, that they were doing Satanism, they were doing this, that, and the other, when I don't even think it was that deep. Now, I do believe that Satan was there. The reason I think that is because who can think of this shit? What good person that believes in Jesus Christ, our Savior, right, is going to go and do stuff like this to young girls and young boys and laugh about it and drink their blood or put their blood all over their body because, oh, it's going to make me pretty. It's disgusting. Only sick motherfuckers are going to do that kind of stuff. And to me, that means the devil's involved in it. Yes, in that aspect of it. But I don't think they were all wearing black robes and having, rituals every day. What I think, it was a sadistic way that they treated these people, like what this thing is talking about, this email. dressing up to do psychological damage to young kids. That's what he was getting his jollies off of. I don't think Epstein was there, screwing all these girls just to have sex with them. He had them there as to torture. That's where the stuff starts getting sicker and sicker. It's the torture, the other stuff that was going on with the victims. When you read some of these emails, it's scary stuff, but you have to go past the sexual stuff because it's worse than that. It really is. And once you get into some of them, I mean, I've read enough that I don't really have to read any more of them. I just listen to the victims and I look into that stuff because I already believe, I already know that the victims were victims, that it wasn't their fault that they were taken there. But I want to see all the people that were there for this stuff, the psychological damage and some of the other things that happened to them. Those are the people that I would like to see rounded up. Even if the victims signed non-disclosures, okay, you can still prosecute these people with the emails and the other evidence. You just use the name victim 27. That's it. That's how you can get around some of this stuff. But that's why this other stuff is important, to get all the facts straight. Who was there, where they were there, when they were there, who else was there at the time, how did they get there? All that stuff has to be all laid out to be presented in court. That's another reason why I said to open up the sealed documents from Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, because she went to prison for trafficking, and she had to traffic the girls to someone to prove they were trafficked. So that means there's people on that trial paperwork, names of people that were actually there that trafficked the women that she went to prison for. So there's a start, because if it put her in prison, unseal those documents, open it up, compare it to some of the stuff that's being released, and start there, because you already used it in court. So it's proven documents that were approved in court to put someone in prison. That's where I would start taking the stuff from that trial, spread it out, and start working from that. Get those people to squeal on other people to lighten their sentence. Yeah, I know it sounds terrible to give someone a lesser sentence, but if you take this dweeby guy that just wanted her to dress up like a rabbit and hop around the room or whatever, some stupid shit like that, to give him a lower sentence because he helps get 5 or 6 other people, I think the victims would go for that. But see, all of that should be all brought to the victims also. So that's what I would do if it was me, because I would want the victims to get justice. And if they sign a non-disclosure and they can't be named because they can't be the one up there testifying because they signed a non-disclosure, then let's go around it. Let's figure out another way to get these people. You know what I mean? Because there is ways. There's plenty of evidence. I think there's plenty of evidence to capture these people, especially the big wheeler and dealers. The ones that were there doing the designer babies, the ones that were there doing scientific experiments, some of the girls, stuff like that. That stuff, I definitely would like to see those people. The ones with the most evidence is usually the first ones that you're going to see go to court. Then when that person is being fried and they start saying, oh, I'm ready to make a deal. And then they start spilling stuff. That's when you start getting the other people. And then you start putting the more and more evidence together to links out like that. And that's how it works. And that's when you're going to start seeing more and more people go up the food chain, because that's what I want. I want the people at the top of the food chain. I want them people. And then we can work our way down, even if they're just low rats that only get a couple years or have to pay a bunch of money to the victims or whatever. I don't care. I want the victims to be able to have justice of some sort, just like what we said earlier about the woman that transitioned when she was 16, and she just got $2 million in a settlement in a court case because she proved that they cut her all up. They cut her all up, and it was malpractice because they weren't helping her. They weren't improving her life. They were making her worse. So I'm glad you won. And I'm glad you got that money. I do. The thing is I want to hear, I can't wait to hear some of the stories of how something did happen and they intervened. I hate to say this, but I've watched a couple of videos that people have posted, and it was like snippets of accidents that didn't happen. Like, and they do drawings, and they put like an angel over here and the devil, or not the devil. It was the Grim Reaper. Yeah, I can't remember who shared that with me, but it was really made me think about it. And I have posted a couple videos about guardian angels and about what they do. They just walk around and stop things from happening. That's all they do. They just wander the earth and stop, have to be at the certain place at the exact moment that something's going to happen to push them out of the way or shove them down on the ground. And people look up like, what an asshole. But then a car goes right where they were standing and they would have been dead. Or someone with a baby cart just pushing it along, and he comes over and pushes the lady and the baby out of the way, and the TV falls from, 5 floors up, stuff like that. Just little things that you just don't realize it. But if you watch some of these videos and it shows near misses, I mean, really, there was this guy walking down the road, and there's a wall on this side of him, and a car comes, and you can see the car hits a tree, starts spinning, and the guy is right there, and it clips him a tiny bit, and he jumps at the last second out of the way as it smashes into the wall where he was just standing. So the person draws a picture to make it look like the angel grabbed him and pulled him over. And then there's another guy walking, and he gets off the bus, and he runs past some vehicles that were stopped, steps out right as another vehicle speeding down the road, and he gets thrown back. It's like something shoved him out of the way. I've seen lots of videos like that, and I do believe that it's guardian angels of people. And I'm not saying that everyone has one. It may be a guardian angel is like your grandmother or your brother or your sister or your mom, someone who passed away, and they're given a gift. They ask, I know that my child is supposed to die on this day, but can I please be given a gift to intervene at this one time? Because, I don't think it's time for them to die or whatever. We don't know, until we get to go, we don't know. Unless you've died and gotten to go to heaven and come back. I've heard many stories like that too, which is very interesting. I mean, I could go on and on and on about it, but it is interesting stuff because I do believe there's something else. See, to me, it's interesting because I do believe there's something more after this life, and that how I live on this life is going to affect where I end up. You see what I mean? I do believe that. There's many people that don't. There's many people that think there's nothing, that once you die, it's over. And I feel sorry for those people because I believe that one day I'm going to get to see my mother again. It makes me happy. Let's see. Okay. I noticed the reply from the other person suggesting Epstein to dress up as Jesus the next time he visits a girl. Yeah. It's sickening, isn't it? It's so sad and sickening. And then makes you look at your own parents. Look at your parents and look at the other people in your life when you were young and how lucky you were to have people that actually cared about you. Where were you? Were you late for school? Did you sneak around with your friends? Did they ground you? Did they try everything they could to keep you as safe as possible? And as an adult, when you look back at what your parents did for you, you realize they loved me so much, and look, they beat the crap out of me, but I deserved it. When you think about, man, I talked back, I did this, I snuck cigarettes out of my mother's purse, and I would go out in the woods and smoke, with my friends, trying to act like I was a big shot. We all did dumb stuff, and we're for whatever reason, we were lucky. We were one of the lucky ones that something bad didn't happen to us, whether we had a guardian angel or our parent knew about it and somehow fixed it to where we couldn't go, or it didn't work out the way that we thought it might. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't have any more answers than anyone else. All I can do is believe what I believe in my heart, about what I think is happening or is going to happen, that type of thing. But you never know. Okay, well, the story that I have right now, like what I was talking about, to answer your question, is I went and started looking up the victims when they were doing interviews about what they say happened to them. And this was years ago, like in 2009 or something like that. I started watching, different interviews and things like that. And I thought it was interesting but what was really sad at the time is the people that made fun of them, because they were talking about like what we just showed a while ago on that letter, that email about that she was saying that they were doing scientific experiments on her. And that she thinks they were trying to harvest her eggs, or, different things that she's trying to explain it. But you got to remember, she was a teenager at the time it was happening, and it was multiple people. And she said the names of these people, and they would say, well, you can't say the names. So they would blop, beep, the name would be bleeped out because there was no cord or whatever. So, that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It upset me because so many people talk bad about the victims, the ones that were trying to tell the truth about what they say happened to them. But all these years later now, we're seeing some of these emails come out, like the one I showed earlier, talking about designer babies. Between Epstein and 2 other people were involved in this one email that you could read. And it was how they're going to go about procuring the right people, to do the whole thing with, just like the Comet Ping Pong emails, when they're talking about paying $6,000 for a pizza, or they're going to have a pizza party that's like $16,000. They're going to have hot dogs and pizza, stuff like that. I don't know. That's all I can do is I try to go with that kind of stuff. I try to go with what the victims say, and then matching it up now with stuff coming out with the documents. See, this is what some of the victims were saying was happening to them. And now emails are coming out to prove that they're talking about what these girls were saying happened to them and what kind of things they said during the time they were being assaulted at that time. And just because they weren't raped at that time, but they were taking their blood, they were scaring them, and doing all these different things to them, it's still against their will. So it doesn't matter whether or not they were actually having intercourse or being sodomized or whatever. They were being held there against their will and letting strange people put their hands all over them, doing stuff to them. So it doesn't matter if it was sexual or not. It was mental abuse, a psychological abuse. I mean, it was torture, basically. And I want to see these people held accountable for it. That's how come I know it was true, because more and more of it's coming out. And sometimes, I don't know, didn't you ever get that feeling that something's not right with something, that they're telling you one thing, but you're looking around and you're thinking that, like with the whole thing with the COVID stuff, when they started pushing the fact that everyone had to wear masks, I knew that it was something's fucked up with it. And the reason why I knew is because I have allergies. Okay. So when you have allergies and you're allergic to certain things, you can't go in certain areas because your eyes are exposed. Okay. Your eyes have blood vessels in them. So let's say I go into a room that I was told, well, don't go in there because they're mixing ammonia and bleach together. And I'm very sensitive to something like that, but so is some of my other friends. And instantly, as soon as she was exposed, she collapsed to the floor. We had to drag her out of the bathroom and then stab her in the leg with an EpiPen because she had an allergic reaction to the 2 chemicals that were being mixed together in the bathroom. Now, all it did was make my nose run and my eyes were watering and I was coughing a lot and gasping for air, but I didn't go into anaphylactic shock like she did. See, so different levels are different for different people, and everyone reacts to things differently, just like you would any other thing. But when they told me I had to wear a mask, and I was like, masks don't stop viruses, not the kind of mask they were telling you to wear. I know, because I've been through all this. And guess what? I just folded the box and kept it in my purse and told people, when they'd say, hey, you need to wear a mask. And I go, why? And they say, well, because it stopped the virus. I go, no, it doesn't. You sell them in your store. Here, read that. What does it tell you? And people hate facts, and that was a fact. It was a fact. If you wanted to stop a virus, you have to be like in the movie Contagion. Remember what they were wearing? The full body cover with their own oxygen and stuff, where they're not breathing it from the air with the right kind of filter, all this kind of stuff. You have to have that kind of stuff to stop you from getting something like that. That's why I knew something was messed up. And then when I went to my allergy doctor, and he said, I don't recommend that you get the shot. And I'm like, why? And he goes, well, we don't know what's in it. If I jab up all my patients that are allergic to stuff, how many patients will I have after I jab everyone up when we're putting stuff in you? We don't know what it is. So that's common sense, So I thought about it, and I thought, well, that makes sense. I don't want to put something in it. Like, you're not going to eat something if you don't know what's in it. If you're allergic to pineapples and someone says, oh, here, I got this pizza. What, did it have pineapple on it? Yeah, well, I can't have any. You see? I don't know. To me, you ask questions and you'll get answers if you ask the right questions and you ask the right people. So, that's how it should be. But it seems like people don't want to do that, do they? They don't want to answer, especially the people that know that what they were doing was wrong. They were hiding it. Just like I said, with Hillary Clinton put an illegal server in her bathroom. She knew it was wrong. She was Secretary of State. She knew she wasn't supposed to have that stuff on her server there. She knew she wasn't supposed to have it on some of her BlackBerry phones. You're supposed to use one government phone that has certain stuff on it, so it can't be scanned. It can't be stuff. And I'm not even smart, but I can understand that. So I know she did, but she did it anyways because she's above me. She's smarter than me. She knows more than me. She's better than me. And I'm just a plebe that doesn't deserve to walk and breathe the same air that she does. That's the attitude they have. And that's why they think they can get away with these things. And as long as every single day that she's walking around and not being punished for some of the things, the laws that she broke, people's lives that were changed because of choices she made, then she's right? Just get away with it. So that's why I want to see some of these people punished, because if it was you, you'd be in prison already. So, it just takes longer for people that are in positions like that. You know what I mean? But I do believe that if somebody's going to start getting people to go to jail, we got the best chance of it happening with the president and the administration that we have right now. Look, wasn't it Richard Nixon that got in trouble for the whole Whitewater stuff? So it can happen. It's just that we just don't have any precedent for it yet. But enough people believe that something fishy was going on with the voting to get the SAFE Act to pass, knowing that we got to make some changes because we got to do what we got to do to get people to want to go to the polls and vote, because people are losing faith in the government. So if the government always just says, how long are you going to keep paying taxes? How long are you going to keep going to work? How long are you going to listen to these people? Over a certain amount of time, finally people are going to say, I'm not going to waste my time. So, until we show that we mean business, why would they make any changes? So we have to just keep standing up for what we believe in and not be quiet about it. I know I'm terrible, but hey, okay, well, I'll explain again. Bruce is in between homes, so he has no internet. He doesn't have access to his stuff. It's all in storage, so he can't be on the show. And we're not even going to be able to do the live stream tomorrow for our gaming, and we're not going to be able to do a Girl Guide in a Movie because he has no access to it. Tommy was in the hospital for a little bit, and he's at home recouping. Ruben, I guess he's still not feeling very good because he hasn't been able, and he's left the show early a lot because he just can't he's just not well. And let's see, Rex, his dog's real sick, and I don't know, it's like near death or whatever. So he's having a hard time with that. And, just a lot of stuff, just a lot of bad stuff's happening. And, I'm lonely as hell. I mean, I live in the boonies, but this is my social life. I have no life. This is my life. So I don't mind doing it. I love doing it. I love talking, and I love trying to help people, and get people to ask questions and not just take everything that, that's real. That's real. You should read, research, show it to other people. I don't just talk about it like this. I put stuff in Discord. I put stuff on other DM groups and talk to other people. I'm always saying, well, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? Or what does this mean? Or, have you guys heard of this? I'm always asking a question because I try to get to the bottom of stuff if I can. And I'm very lucky because I have so many cool friends that I've met through all this journey I've been on, from so many different states, so many different countries, that when I ask them something or I give them something to look at for me, I usually can find someone that can answer me. I'm really lucky with that. But a lot of people don't think about that. They get on Facebook and post it. That's it. That's the only way. They think if whoever answers on Facebook, then they got their answer. See, I don't. I'm on like 20 different things to ask questions. So, I think I got a good chance of finding somebody that's going to give me a good answer, or close to where, hey, go look at this, or go over there and ask that person, that kind of thing. So I'm really lucky to have that. But, I'm not saying I'm always right, because I don't think I am. But that's why I ask so many questions, because I want to find out, how to do certain things. Yeah. Yeah. Now, she could have done that, but they're sealed. Why? Okay. See, that's why I don't believe that. The reason I don't believe that is because if that was true and she was the only one in there, why are they sealed? See, it doesn't make sense. I don't know who's in there with her, but somebody's in there. That judge isn't going to unrelease it. So if enough people hounded that judge and said, hey, we had the right to know, the victims have the right, or to, I don't know, some of the victims have tried to speak out about some of the things that were said, but a lot of them signed non-disclosures after they got the settlement for 200 and something million. And that's in that documentary, not documentary, but the show that I did with the interviews with the two women, which was them talking about taking them and using scientific stuff on them, doing scientific things to them. And that's why she said it wasn't just for sexual stuff, massages and whatever stuff, hanging out with people. Now, I think that a lot of these people, like the prince that was brought there, maybe Bill Clinton and other people like that, for the parties and the sexual stuff, was to cover up for some of the other stuff that was going on, like what you were talking about, Hardwick. That's what I think, just simply because I've been reading and looking into it for so long. It was like, we got to have money, we got to have more money to keep things going. So we have to be able to have influential people, like like these two people you saw in that picture earlier that I showed, that she talked about in her one of her interviews, Guthrie and what was the other one's name? I can't remember now. I went blank. Let's see if I have her name written down over here. Terrible about names. I just can't remember anything. Let's see. I can't find her name now. It was Juliette Bryant or something like that. But they're victims, and their interviews talked about certain things like that, like the whole thing. It was Epstein wanted to create designer babies in a lab. You really didn't think that they just stopped with Dolly the sheep, did you? That's what someone said about it, because I really do believe that. And she also talked about the Mexico ranch, that she thinks that they were doing cloning and stuff there. So I don't know. That's why I believe that all these other people that were brought there to do all the, the stuff by the pool and have the pretty girls dress up in clothes and do all that, was to distract from what other things they were doing with the girls. So I think it's way, way bigger than. I can't wait to find out once more and more of the stuff comes out, because I think it's way bigger than just sexual favors for old geezers. You know what I mean? I really do. And some of these girls have already been talking about it for many, many years. It's just that everybody laughed at them and made fun of them because their stories were so outlandish. There's no way it could be true. But I think that these emails are starting to shine some light on it. Maybe a lot of the things they were talking about were true and nobody would listen. So I don't know. And maybe that's one reason why anyone that tries to speak out ends up dying of suicide. I'm just saying, I'm trying to use a little bit of logic and common sense in there. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a engineer. I'm none of those things. I'm just a person that has a heart, but I have a brain and I have common sense. So you don't keep putting your hand in the fire and burning it and just keep doing it unless there's something wrong with you. There's a disconnect somewhere for me to keep sticking my hand in the fire, right? So just little things like that tell me that if someone's doing stuff like that, then there's something wrong with the situation. So I don't know. To me, that makes sense, but there's lots of weird shit going on because somebody is in charge, knows what's happening. Why not throw in a few wrenches into the system so people are looking over there instead of looking where the real stuff's going on, like they do all the time, misdirection. But let me see, what was this other thing I had open? Oh, I don't want to read that one. That one's nothing. So let's see what this one was. Oh, this was the whole thing. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's really, really long. But it's the whole thing about this person's point of view, that when they sat and listened to Bondi speaking to Congress, okay, and she's answering questions and explaining certain things, that the way she brought things out and talked about a lot of things about the Epstein files and stuff like that, that certain things that she said, and this what this whole thing is, that certain things that she said during her testimony was when she said certain things, they like went in panic mode and they started trying to deflect what she was talking about to something else. And whenever someone tries to do that, I always try to go back and see what word was it, what was said right then when the other person immediately started deflecting from it. That's where you're going to start finding answers. And that's one reason why I haven't had a chance to read this, because I had a lot of other things going on this morning. And gosh, I got such a dry throat. Give me a second. Okay. If you go through and read what is said on this thing, certain words and things that she brought up with her paperwork and stuff that she had caused people to panic. Now, why? Why would mostly the left start panicking because she brought up certain things? Because supposedly this person that posted this thinks that she's setting a trap, and that a lot of the stuff, the way it worked out, was a trap. Now, remember, it was about 7 or 8 months ago, maybe before that, maybe a year ago. And I had a couple little videos of people talking about them thinking that Trump was a genius because of the way that he did the whole Epstein thing. Because remember, Trump was one of the first people to call the FBI when he found out they were asking questions about Epstein and told him about what happened at Mar-a-Lago with him and Epstein, and that he also made Ghislaine Maxwell leave there too, because he found out they were interacting, trying to get young girls to leave and become masseuses or whatever else. And he testified on that. He went to the FBI. He was one of the first ones to actually go on record and talk about what happened with him and Epstein on his property, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So after all that, when they were doing all that, he just stopped worrying about it because he felt he did what he was supposed to. He wasn't following the whole thing because he had other shit going on, just like the rest of us do. We all have lives. We're not going to spend every minute of every day unless you're a journalist or you have some reason. Your loved one is in the middle of it, whatever, because we all have lives. So you can't just quit living your life and just do nothing and sit in front of the computer and, try to dig out more information because we have lives, we have things to do, responsibilities. So we have to try to help each other by sharing what we have when we have it. But this whole thing is important because she already testified, okay, but he's talking about the stuff that she said and how they reacted, that the certain things that she said is what you need to look into because there's something behind each of those things and he has it written all down. I didn't get a chance to read it all, but I thought it was important. I want to share the link to it so you can go look at it. But what I was saying is I have 2 videos about this guy talking about how Trump was a genius. He said, you go out, you say stuff like, oh, it's no big deal. There's nothing, we don't have anything, we can't find this or whatever, making these statements to piss off people. The left gets pissed off saying, well, we demand to see the files. When they knew, just like Pam Bondi said, I've seen the files, I know what's in it, blah, 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 because she's been reading them. And she didn't read all of them, but she said she'd read quite a bit of stuff, and there was a lot of stuff in there. That's what she said in her interview herself. So she had to know that Clinton's name was in there. She had to know that Bill Gates' name was in there. She had to know that a lot of these other names was in there, actual names that people out here would know who they were, right? So the fact that they got the left all riled up to where they were on the bandwagon, said, get the files out. He's trying to cover for the Jews or whatever it is, whatever crap you start hearing from it, people were starting to spout rhetoric about it. So next thing you know, what happens? They say, okay, fine, we're going to release it. Now they're like all quiet. You don't hear shit. Because now they're realizing, wow, we were stupid. We were played like doo, 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 like a harp. And that's exactly what happened. And that's basically something that this gentleman was talking about, is how the way she let the stuff come out during her thing in Congress that I didn't get to watch. I would have loved to have watched it because I do like that kind of stuff. That it was the way that people reacted to what she said and when she said it is why he knows there's stuff in there that's good, because they immediately started having a conniption over whatever it was that she was saying. So I wish I'd seen it, but I didn't. So I have to wait till tomorrow, the next day, so I can go through it all. But I think it's interesting. And if any of you are one of those people that can, put 2 and 2 together or whatever, or figure it out, then maybe you can find it before I do and send me a DM and say, hey, this is what's in this, whatever. That would be great. I would love that. But if you can't, I understand. I mean, we all have lives and we're all busy, just like why I'm by myself again, because everybody's sick or they just can't come on the show because they don't have internet or they don't have a house or a lot of stuff going on. And, this is it. I don't have a life. This is my life. So, I got plenty of time. I'm just sitting around. I'll either be doing this or building something or painting or doing something, or sewing or trying to find a job that I have to drive very far to get to or whatever, that type of stuff, promo job. But, we all have to do what we can. And this is what I do. This is what I wish I could do. If I could get paid enough money to live and be able to just talk all day long, shit, I'd be happy as a lamb. But I don't get to do that. But that's just the way it is. Not for everyone can have that. But there are a few lucky people out there that that's all they do. They just get to do this and make a living. So I'm happy for those people. Just to make sure you heard me correctly. Bruce is without internet for a while. Yeah, I know. We're not going to be able to do our gaming tomorrow. You know how we play a game all day, because I'm on both of his games, different one each Saturday. We don't get to do that tomorrow, and we're not going to be able to do the movie thing. But now that's what I was going to send you a DM and say, hey, remember those movies that we were talking about? If you want, I can hang out with you and we can do it in Discord, and we can watch one of those movies, because I haven't seen those either. Any of the ones the list that you sent in the DM, I would love to do that if you want to. So just send me a message and say, hey, this time, because normally every Sunday at 12:30, that's what I do. I'm used to doing it that way. So if you can do it and anyone else that wants to try to do that, that'd be fun. I'd really enjoy that, because I love watching, especially movies I've never seen. And I've never seen any of these older movies that you had out. You were talking about Hardwick. So that would be fun if you want to try that. Let's see. Are not dirty now. That said on the Epstein Island, everything was most likely evil. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, Warrior. If you're still over on X, by the time I got to it, it's taking me so long because you know how I am. I get on my rants, just go on and on, never shut up. You have to put a muzzle on me or whatever. But we were talking about the psychological damage that was done to a lot of these girls, because I was talking about the 2 interviews that I played on one of my shows, and then someone had sent me an email between 2 people about making designer babies, and that was one of the subjects that the one girl, I think her name was Juliet Bryant, was one of the victims, and she was talking about that specific thing about Epstein wanting to have a whole bunch of kids, making babies that he didn't have to take care of, but he wanted to make sure his genes were getting passed on or whatever. And what a wonderful way to do that, by harvesting eggs from some of these young girls, and then, being able to do that. That was one of the things she talked about. And then the other one was them making clones, and things like that. It was just really, really weird. But then that email is brought up out of the Epstein files about making designer babies. So, and she said specifically that all this stuff happened at the New Mexico ranch. So that's what I'm saying. I kept asking people, a few people in DM groups and in spaces and stuff like that, how come I'm hearing all this stuff about the New York apartment, the yacht, a little bit about the yacht, and then some about the plane, and then all about the island? No one's talking about New Mexico. Why? See, that's why I started trying to look for things. It's because when everybody's getting you to look over there, I try to look over there and see what's going on, because there's something going on that they don't want you to know, because it's misdirection. It's just what they do at magic shows and everything else. They get everyone to look over there while all the real stuff is really happening there. That's why I started looking into the New Mexico stuff more and more. And I found those 2 interviews with 2 of the victims that were talking about stuff from New Mexico. That's why I got interested in it. And now we have actual emails that are starting to prove that what she was saying somewhere in there. Now, that's what I'm saying. I want to find out who those people's names are on there, because she mentioned one of the people that was there when she was there was the director that made the movie The Island. I can't remember his name. God, I hate that about myself. I can't remember what his name is, but she said that that was one of the movies that he'd made, and that it was about clones. So that's why she said, what was it? I said it earlier. She said, Epstein wanted to create designer babies in a lab. You really don't think they just stopped with Dolly the sheep, do you? And that's what she meant, that they were making clones. And they didn't even need a woman to make the baby. Because remember, oh God, it was a while back. I showed the supposed lab where they have these little pods, and they were showing how they were putting embryos in. There was chickens and some other kind of animals, like I think a rabbit embryo and stuff like that, in these fake uteruses. So it was very interesting, and it was a documentary. God, I wish I could remember all that. But see, I can't play any of that stuff because then I get a copyright strike. But I watch them, and that's why I share links so much, because I want you to be able to go and see it. If you're interested, you can go watch the Eyes of the Devil documentary, or you can go watch any of these things that I share, because then you can see it for yourself, and then you can take notes and go research more in some other way to find out things, whether or not you think it's factual or not. See? And then you are adding to it. See? Not just what the victim said, because now we have more and more people that are researching and finding out all these connections. That's how stories get broke. Look what happened in Minnesota with that young man and that old guy looking into a few things that didn't add up. You know, they were like, God, why is our government not looking into this? So they start looking, look what happened. It was just exploded. And everything they found was real. It wasn't fake. It was real stuff, real proof that they're paying out millions of dollars in tax money in revenue in Minnesota. That's one state, right? So if it's happening a little here and a little there in every single state, damn, that's a shit ton of money that we need to get back. That's been drained from the system, that could be helping the elderly, could be helping children, you know, it could be helping the veterans. I mean, it could be helping a lot of people, but it's being wasted because somebody's making their big fat wallets fatter instead of caring about where the money is really supposed to go. So if people don't say anything, then nothing's ever going to happen. Nothing's ever going to change if we don't do something. But I think that guy left, and I didn't kick him out, but I haven't seen any more posts by that dweeby guy. But man, the other night I was blocking people left and right because there were just total douchebags in here. And I'm just nobody, you know, I'm just a teeny tiny speck on the spectrum. So why they think I'm interesting enough to come and harass me and the people in my chat, I don't know. I don't get it. Yeah, he can't, because his living situation is that way. Right now he's living with a friend and his wife and their 5 dogs and the rest of the family, while he's in transition to get his place, because he had to get out of the other place. I would say it's just very complicated, and I don't want to have to get into it because, you know, I don't really know everything about it, because I don't live there. I'm not in Texas or whatever, but I just know that, you know, as of right now, we just can't, we can't do that stuff tomorrow or the day after. So I'm going to try to do a Valentine's show, because, you know, I don't have any plans, so I'm not going to be doing anything. So, you know, you were kicked out from where? Oh, was I kicked out? No, I didn't kick you out. I have to get on my phone to go to X, because the system that we have right now that I'm on will allow me to talk to people that are on YouTube, and that's it. Now, Kick, if I had Kick on, I would be able to talk to people on Kick. I don't know why some apps let you talk to each other on it, but like Rumble, I have to go to Rumble separately and talk to them on my phone in the chat. Or I can talk to them like this, because I can see the chat pop up, but I can't communicate in the, Michael Bay, he was the director that was there with her, and it's in that interview that I play on my show. It's very interesting, and I believe her. She was still emotional after all this time. She was very emotional, still talking about some of it, and you know, I feel so bad for these girls. And they're fighting, the ones that are still, you know, around, because one of them's not here anymore. Guthrie's no longer alive. And the whole kill switch thing, and that's another thing that hurts, the whole thing. When you have people that say they're a pastor of a church coming out saying that she contacted me and she sent me this stuff and told me to let this kill switch go off if she died suddenly or whatever. And why do I wish to kick you? I don't understand what you're saying. It doesn't make any sense. Sorry, warrior. I don't get what you're saying. So, yeah. But see, I can share what you're saying, but I can't talk to you over there besides speaking because I'm reading what you're writing. But why do wish to kick me? I don't know what that means. Oh, are you teasing around? Okay, you're kidding. Let me see. This is also a pretty good movie about Benghazi. Yeah, I haven't seen that yet, but I sure do want to watch that one. I sure do want to watch that one. Didn't he made that movie, The Island? Is he the one? Because she said he was at the island doing scientific experiments and stuff too. So that's why I'm saying, that's why I can't wait to see more of these emails. The first names are on there. They don't have the last names, but if it's if we can find out one of those emails belongs to that director, you know, I don't know. I just think it's all creepy and disgusting, and I hope they get to the bottom of all of it. So, but that's just a lot. I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of emails. Look how long it takes you just to get in your email. If you only check it like twice a week and you get a lot of junk emails, and some of the junks might have something in it you need to see, and you're going through all of them and you get 1,000, you know, in your inbox, and you're having to go through, and how long that takes. That's how long these people are having to go through and print these out. You know, print these out, copy them, put them in an archive or whatever they're doing, put them over here, put this over there. Anything that pertains to this goes over there. You know, that's a lot of work if you think about it. So, you know, I really feel for all these people because I know they're really putting a whole lot of effort into, you know, trying to get all the links, put it all together so that they can build a case against, I don't know for sure who, but I'm sure they know. But this next thing I want to share with you is really, really interesting. And I don't know what's going to happen with it. And but I don't see it being a good thing. So just a second, let me get to close this whole thing and bring this other one up because it is, I don't know if you guys saw it or not. Let's see, I think it's, God, I suck at this so bad. I think it's this one because I can't see anything. When I click on it to open it, it's just a blank screen. There's nothing there. So I don't know until it opens up on my screen. Ah, it is. Okay, let me pause this for a second. Now, this is interesting. It says, coming soon to Las Vegas casinos, an ATM that melts down your gold jewelry at 2,200 degrees, verifies the purity and weight, and then transfers the value minus the fees to your bank account. This will devastate the local pawn shop industry. Now, yeah, that's bad. But what I was thinking when I saw this was, how many people are going to get robbed? How scary is that? Think about it, because I have relatives, lots of friends and relatives that live in Las Vegas or outside, you know, in the outskirts of it. A bunch of thugs, they go in, they rob you, go to neighborhoods or whatever, and they just go in and do nothing but steal all the jewelry. That's all they steal. Then they get out and they go through it and try to, you know, because they have these little things you can wipe it to see if it's gold plate or whatever, that kind of stuff that they have at jewelry stores. Then they take it to these places and melt it down, and you can't prove it was yours. Your old grandma's ring or your bracelet you got for your anniversary or whatever, it's all melted down. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how they're going to capture these people. Are they going to frisk everyone that comes into the casino from now on before they go to the ATM melting machine? I mean, that's ridiculous. I think it's a horrible idea. It's bad enough that people are going to be melting down their, you know, their wedding rings or whatever else to get a few dollars to go to the casino. But now you're going to have people robbing people to steal their jewelry. So now, I mean, if you wear, something like this, you can tell it's not expensive. But if you wear something and someone targets you, saying, oh, she looks like she's got some nice jewelry on, and they rob you just to get your jewelry and run in and melt it down. It's like, I just think it's stupid. Have you guys seen anything like that before? Yeah, that's it. The Island. That's what she was talking about. Yeah. She was saying the director that made this movie, The Island, is the one that was there at the New Mexico ranch where she was taken. And there was other girls there. And she said a lot of them were a lot younger than her, and that they were doing scientific experiments on them. It's like I said, they were she thinks they were taking their eggs and doing other stuff. And there was a couple other people there trying to keep them calm. I don't know. And they were asking them weird questions and stuff like that. I can't remember everything, but the thing is, you could watch multiple of her interviews and get more and more information. But that right there, to me, she's a gold mine of information. And I really hope that somebody's talking to her, from the government to help get this more of this stuff now that they're starting to get all this. Because I know that if they're releasing the documents, that means the government's already read it, documented stuff and everything, right? More than likely. So they know what's in there. So if they hear Juliet, I can't remember what her last name is right now. Damn. If they hear her, more of her interviews, right? And she's talking about some of the same things that are in these emails. I hope to goodness they're when they go and talk to her and try to work something out before someone else that's afraid that she knows more than she should decides to go visit her. You know what I mean? I just hope she's safe. And I hope all the victims can get someone to help them stay safe, because I don't know. I really feel bad for them because it's terrible. But more and more stuff is going to come out. I know it now. That I saw that email, I believe everything she was saying, because I believed her anyways without the email, just listening to her voice, the look on her face, the way, and 4 or 5 different interviews with different people at different years. The story's the same. And she adds a little more each time, but the other stuff, the other facts that she brings up are the same. So she's either a really, really good actress, or all these victims are like that, or what, or it's real. And I do believe her. I really do think that, I don't think he's a scientist, but what she didn't say he was the one doing it. She said he was there, why they were doing it. Like, maybe he wanted the designer baby himself. Maybe he wants a clone. So you have to take eggs. I don't know. I don't understand a lot of it because I'm not a scientist. They take eggs and they take cells that aren't marked for anything yet. I can't remember what they're called. And then they take that part of the cell and then and put it in the egg or whatever. And then they put what they need, the sperm or whatever, in there to create it. But they have to do it in a certain way to make it be a duplicate, because they've done it. Dolly, remember Dolly was a clone. And I know that there's companies out there right now that will clone your dog that died, right? So it's not going to have the same memories. It's not going to be the same exacting pet because it's being raised in a different place, but it's going to be DNA wise, genetically the same. That's what she was talking about. I don't know. It was just really interesting. You just need to go listen to her interviews. That's the best thing. The best way for you, because I'm just giving you bits and pieces that I remember. And I had stuff going on. I wasn't able to just sit and do nothing and take notes. And I don't have one of those memories that, like a trap that, I remember everything, because I forget half the stuff I say. I can't remember names at all. Now I'm really good at seeing someone and recognizing that, oh, I know that person, I just go, God, what's their name? I got to remember the name. But it's the names part that I had the hardest part remembering. But yeah, it's really interesting because she does talk about that guy, the one that made the movie that The Island. She talks about him in her one interview that I play on the stream that I'm talking about, because they are the victims. And I said that with the Epstein files coming out, I was hoping there would be something to start coming out of the Epstein files that would connect to what their girls were saying had happened to them. And it's happening from what I can tell. So I think it's really good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole thing with the like I was talking about with the them signing non-disclosures and certain things that they're not allowed to say, how they're going to be able to work cases around certain victims, but still be able to prosecute them because that victim was involved or whatever. So I don't know how they're going to do it, but I'm sure there's ways to do it. There's got to be ways to prosecute people using evidence that pertains to a certain victim that signed a non-disclosure. So I don't know how it is. I mean, I don't know enough about it, but it is interesting stuff, I think. Yeah, Juliette Bryant. Zorro Ranch. Oh, that was the name of it. See, I couldn't remember the name of it, but I knew that was it. Yeah, she didn't say he did anything wrong. She said that when he was there, he talked about the whole thing about cloning and stuff like that. So maybe he can tell them what his conversations were with Jeffrey Epstein about where he came up with the idea for clones and stuff like that. He's talking about for Jeffrey Epstein, but he was at the island because she saw him. She knows it was him and that he was there. I didn't say he was involved in doing anything to her. I said he was at the ranch with her. So he's a witness. He's somebody that can say, I was there. This is what I was doing while I was there, because she was there at the same time. That's why I said, please go listen to some of her interviews. They're really, really informative. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he hasn't been. She didn't say that he was one of the ones doing anything, but she did say that Bill Gates was, that he did take blood and other things from some. The Juliette Bryant said that. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I hope that more and more of these emails come out and that more people can start connecting some of these dots. Yeah, that could be possible. I mean, I don't really know why they would do it. It could be for that, but I know that I hear a lot of people talk about clones in spaces, and they say that Hillary Clinton's a clone. All these different people are clones, and I'm like, why would they clone them to walk around and act like they're that person? You know, what benefit? How does that benefit anything? Because if they were already taken, because some of these people say stuff like they've already been taken to Gitmo and they've been tried and executed. So if they did that, okay, why not just say that they died in a plane crash or they drowned or something like that, instead of going through all the problem to make a clone or have a double pretend to be them and risk, all the strings that are attached to all the other people to expose that. See, that's why I have a hard time believing that they take someone out and put someone in their place and have them parading around after they already tried them and stuff. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's just so that it just leaves too many gaps. People were saying that woman that was kidnapped was taken for this purpose or that purpose or whatever. But I think it was just somebody that went there thinking they were going to get money and then decided when she didn't have what they wanted, they just took her thinking they could get ransom. And I really don't know if she's still alive or not. I just think it's sad, the whole situation. But that's what I think it's going to end up being. I don't think it's a big conspiracy of why they took her. It just happened to be her because he'd been there before, because he knew someone that had been to their house and thought maybe they had money or lots of jewelry or something. So I don't know, but it'll come out. We just have to pay attention and wait and see, see what evolves from it. But that's why you got to be patient, though, because a lot of the stuff isn't just, they don't just carry a bag of evidence and just throw it down on the ground and say, there you go, now you got everything you need to capture me. It takes a long time sometimes to unravel a whole case because there's so many different things they have to have. And they can even have a shit ton of evidence against somebody and they still get to walk. I mean, look what happened with O.J. Simpson. They had hair, blood at the foot of his bed and everything, but they made the story good enough for you to believe that all the cops were in on it. Everybody was framing O.J. Simpson. So, and it worked because he got off. So, that's what I'm saying. Don't get your hopes up that Bill Clinton and all these people are going to go to court and they're all going to go to prison, because most of them will probably get a slap on the wrist. That's why I said I was surprised that when P. Diddy got arrested, and they raided his house and all that stuff, I was shocked, especially under the administration that was under. And the fact that he even got convicted of anything was shocking to me. So why that happened, I don't really know, but maybe the people on the jury really didn't understand what the RICO case was, or they just didn't know enough, or they just didn't believe that what they were looking at was enough evidence to put someone in prison for this amount of time for a crime that they don't believe they had enough evidence to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they were guilty of. So, that could be as simple as that. And a lot of people still want to make it into a conspiracy that isn't there. And that's a lot of things that we have to remember, is that you got to have evidence. People can say whatever they want about someone, but if you don't have something to go with it, you have nothing. So just like I was saying earlier, if they can get emails and other links to go with what these girls were saying, because they didn't get to take things with them. This was years and years ago. Now, she said she did find one of the guests that came. She said that they left a little box camera, those little ones that you can get, and that she took pictures with that. And she took pictures of different windows and different things like that. And I don't know what she took all the pictures of, because I only had some of her interviews, in there. But I'm sure she said more in others. And if you could sit down and watch, like multiple, one after the other in sequence or whatever of her interviews, you probably get some really good information from that. That's what I'm, any young person out there that's wanting to dig and find some stuff and then read the emails and try to find the connection, that would be a great way for you to break into it. Because I really do think that if you listen to the victims and then you go through the evidence that they have now, that you might find some connections and be able to help open this up more to where they can look in one certain area or whatever and get some stuff. But I just don't have the time and stuff to do it, because I do have to have money. I have to work, and take care of my house and things like that, or I would do a lot more. But to me, when I'm thinking about it, I think that's a great idea. But I do believe what they're saying, both the victims in their interviews, it just seemed, I don't know, very real. And that they were they were traumatized a lot. Just like what Hardwick was talking earlier in his messages about the young girl being traumatized by this things that they were saying to her, about Jesus and stuff like that. But they weren't doing it in a calming manner. They were doing it in a way to manipulate her and get her to doubt, and be afraid, that type of thing. So it's scary, the psychological games that some of these people will use just to, hurt someone, to damage them. It's sickening and sad, really is. But let me see it. What was that one? I showed you the one about the melting the gold. So I'm going to take that one down. That was interesting though, because I'd never thought that you could make a vending machine that could have something that would get that hot. But I guess it would have to be a very small amount at a time and have a special thing around it to insulate it so it wouldn't catch on fire. But this other one, I think it was a Gunther Eagleman. He shared this one. Yeah, I think I'll play this one because I don't remember. I remember hearing someone talking about it, but I don't remember watching this video myself. So let me open this real quick. So let me pause it because it always starts when I first open it. And it's interesting because it says that that it's talking about President Trump saying that he's exposing Eric Swalwell and Adam Schiff as criminals who leaked classified information to overthrow the administration. They're traitors and they must be expelled from Congress. John Solomon nails it. One of the guys that's in here is Eric Swalwell. Now that is secondhand information from the whistleblower, but the whistleblower actually attended a meeting with Adam Schiff when he was a ranking member. He tells the FBI and Adam Schiff, where Adam Schiff authorized the leaking of classified secrets to dirty up Donald Trump to try to build towards either a select committee in Congress or a special prosecutor. Interesting. I haven't got to hear all this yet, but here I'm gonna open this up real quick and play it.
Yeah, well, one of the guys that's in here is Eric Swalwell. Now, that is secondhand information from the whistleblower, but the whistleblower actually attended a meeting with Adam Schiff when he was ranking member. Yeah,
I stand corrected. It was they both hate Trump, so I kind of mix them up.
Yeah, they all merge together these days. Listen, this whistleblower literally sat in a meeting, he tells the FBI, where Adam Schiff authorized the leaking of classified secrets to dirty up Donald Trump and to try to build towards either a select committee in Congress or a special prosecutor. Yeah, well, one of the guys that's in here is Eric Swalwell. Now, that is secondhand information from the whistleblower, but the whistleblower actually attended a meeting with Adam Schiff.
So I don't know anything about this. I guess I missed it. I didn't get to see it on the news, but when I'm busy doing other things, I don't have time to go through and, see everything that I see come across my timeline. But, I just want to start seeing some of these people at least be indicted or something, start somewhere. But I know that they tried to do it with James Comey, but nothing happened with that. Is anything going on with that? Does any of you know of anything that's going on with Comey? I mean, is he about to get indicted again? Are they going to do anything to the guy? Do they have a court that will even take a case, or something? But what's the last StreamYard link to? I'm trying to understand what this means. I don't know what you mean. I don't understand what he means last StreamYard link to. What I shared in the chat? I don't understand. I'm sorry. Wish I did. But I don't. Oh, this is another thing I thought was pretty funny. But let me see if I can find it real quick. Oh, yeah. This was something that came up right when I was about ready to go live, and I didn't get a chance to read it. So if any of you know any more about it, I'd be interested in hearing, because I was like really shocked. What does this mean? They just voted on the SAVE Act, and now they're saying that at midnight, while America sleeps, the Department of Homeland Security goes dark on February 14th. TSA, ICE, Secret Service, FEMA, and Coast Guard, all offline. Congress left Washington. Nobody stayed to vote. The building is empty. Ask yourself, why do they shut down the one department that protects the border the same week the Epstein exposed a global trafficking network? I just don't understand it. Is this person trying to get people riled up? What does this have to, what does this have to do with anything? I'm sorry, while I'm reading that, I can't see what the chat's saying at the same time. Yes, that StreamYard. What StreamYard? I don't understand. What about it? You can't see anything? I mean, I don't understand. I'm sorry, I'm not real smart when it comes to that stuff. Yes, that StreamYard. What StreamYard? A link that you want to join? Is that what you're saying? You would like to join me on the show? Oh, is that what you're asking? I'm sorry, I'm just not understanding what you're saying. Sorry. No, these are little stones. Polished stones. And, like fishing line. I really love these kind of fishing line necklaces. I don't know why. And they're not that expensive, but I think they're pretty. I really like them. Oh, so you want me to send you the link? So you can join me? The only reason I don't put them in the thing like that is because a few people I know in small channels that did that, people showed up and showed body parts and stuff, and they almost lost their show or their channels. So, and I've had some real losers show up in my chat, and I'm not going to send them that. But I mean, I don't really have much left that I'm going to talk about. I got 2 more stories, but if you want to jump on with me, you want to talk about politics, because most people don't. So, but I will send you one if you really want to get on here with me, because I haven't seen you on Bear's show or anything before. Because I did send out a link in a couple of the DM groups on X. You're going to call it my beetle necklace? They are nice and they're real smooth. And I used to have a rock tumbler when I was a little kid. So, I'm sure maybe you had one when you were little too. Did you? I did have something like that when I was little. And I found lots of rocks to put in it. But they never turned out as nice as I thought they would. Let's see. Just give me a second. Well, did you which DM group was it? I was to say, can you go to that and join it through there? Because that's what I was going to do. I'll send it to you. Where do you want me to send it, though? That's what I need to know. Because I copied it. I'm ready to send it. I just don't know where to send it to. Are you on my Discord? Because I have to go over to Discord and look over there if you are. And I'll send it to you over there. You can do that. Just let me know where you want me to send it. And I'll invite you on. I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, because I was asking a lot of people if they wanted to join, because I knew that the other guys weren't going to be able to because they were all sick, and one couldn't because they didn't have the internet and things right now because they, you know, all his stuff's in storage. He's trying to get moved into his new place. So where do you want me to send it? You haven't answered me yet. But if you join, I'll see you backstage. So I'm waiting. So, Warrior, what are your plans tomorrow for Valentine's Day? If you have any. I'm sure people wear muumuu still. Somewhere. Somebody does. Somewhere. Do you like these glasses? Because I've been collecting a bunch of them. Are you going to be working tomorrow? Because you know today was, well, it's not. It's after midnight, so it's no longer Friday the 13th. You might go see a movie. Yeah, I want to go see that movie with Sam Rockwell. Is it, how do you say his last name? Sam Rockwell, I guess. About him being a time traveler. And it looks really, really cool. Juno, I can't remember her last name, is something. The actress from Ted Lasso TV series. She's in it too. I like her. I think she's a good little actress. But yeah, that one was by accident. But if he wants to join and come in, I'll see him backstage and I'll add him if he wants to hang out. But yeah, I added that on accident because I thought someone else was going to come and join in, and I didn't have an email for them or anything. But I'd be happy to have him on here if he wants to hang out. I mean, any of you guys can, because I'll be able to see you in the green room. And if I don't know you, then I definitely won't won't add you to the live stream. But any of you want to get up here and chat with me, you can. I'd love to have you up here. Because after I saw this whole thing about them supposedly shutting down because they didn't get funded, why would they pass the SAVE Act and not fund, you know, our the same people that said yes to ID voting said no to funding our ICE agents? It doesn't make any sense. That's why I was trying to figure it out. Yeah, you do like these? Aren't they nice? I found these, and there's no lenses. See, they're props. And I found this pair right here. Very studious. I really like them. They have no lenses either. I took the lenses out of all this because I wouldn't be able to see to read it because I don't wear glasses. But this pair is kind of cool. But I got a whole bunch of different pairs to use, you know, as props. Now I really do love these. I need to put some tape on it or something, you know, from that one movie. But I really love these. I think these are really cool. I might even actually, if I ever get any glasses, I will get some that kind of look like this because I think they're very nerdy. I love them. I like to wear them sometimes when I'm streaming because it just makes me feel smarter, even though I know I'm not real smart. But yeah, that's why I was asking him because when he was asking me, I didn't know if I'd shared it somewhere else. But see, I had went and shared that link in like 3 different DM groups. You want me to wear a muumuu? Well, I plan on coming to Florida in March. I'm trying to remember the date. I don't know the exact date yet, but maybe I'll wear a muumuu while I'm there. Should I, you know, get some like pink flamingo little head deals to wear or something too? That would be cool. Yeah, I know words have power, and you can either talk yourself into something or talk yourself out of something also. So yeah, and you know, you're your worst enemy basically, or we are. Yeah, I tried to pin my shirt down to keep this doing it, but it won't stay. It just keeps riding up. Oh well. I know I'm very tenacious, aren't I? Yeah, my mother said, "You're so stubborn." So my mother always told me. But, you know, I don't know why I have that, but we all have these traits for some reason. Yeah, Hardwick, you can hang out backstage with me if you want, or come and sit on the panel if you want. Any of you guys want. Well, anyone I know that I've talked to, you know, more than one time, and not just in the chat. But you know, a lot of interesting stuff, but some good things happened this time, which I'm really glad with. So I'm kind of happy with a lot of that stuff. I think it's great. So is there anything else you want to share in the chat? Because, you know, I can change this a little bit. I could change this a little and make it like wide, like that instead, and make it tall, and make the letters bigger if you're having a hard time reading it. Because I know some people are on their phone trying to read it. But one of the things that I thought was interesting is it just seems like certain people that used to be very loud. Yeah, it takes a lot of work, doesn't it? You do it, don't you do this also somehow? I do some of this stuff, but I had never done any of this stuff. I was making dumb, stupid videos and sending them to my friends, you know, like to say, I don't know. I can't remember some of the stuff. I used to have notebooks with stuff written in it, saying stuff like, let's see, I'm trying to remember one of them. Like I'd say stuff like, kissing, let's see, it goes, kissing burns 9.2 calories per minute or something like that. Do you want to go work out? You know, like you just stupid shit like that. And I'd send it to friends and, you know, and we'd laugh and act stupid or whatever. And then I made this one, I have these, all these lithographs in my office, you know, of different cartoons, mostly Wolverine and got a few Captain America, you know, stuff like that, and Deadpool, right? So I'm on my elliptical and I decided to make a video. So I got a video of me on my elliptical and I'm like, I'm coming for you, Wolverine. I've been on a dry spell so long, I'm going to tear your ass up. Like that. And then I sit there and they were like, this is funny. You need to get on TikTok. And I was like, TikTok, what's that? So that's how it started. So once I got on TikTok and I started making stupid videos on there, Bruce's girlfriend at the time saw one of my videos, thought it was funny, and told Bruce he needed to see if he could interview me for his show. And so I'd seen Bruce in the group of people I hung out with on YouTube, because I used to go watch bunches of people, you know, do their own shows and laugh and, you know, have so much fun with Clobby and a bunch of people. Clobby passed away. So I've lost a few friends that were real big, you know, in YouTube, and used to talk about Star Trek and, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. And that's how it started. And then when I got to be on Bruce's show and he asked me to start doing a Girl in a Kind of Movie, I was in hog heaven, because this is my social life. I don't have one. So this is it, you know, just doing this kind of junk. So, and I like having something to do. Somehow, at least I'm not out at a club or getting high or, I don't know, getting drunk. So this is it. Being a dum-dum. Somebody passed away. I'd have to look it up on my phone. Janet L. Clumpton. Yeah, I've been out before. Not a lot. But yeah, see this little light back here? That was a gift from one of my subscribers. I had her on the show as a guest, and we talked about some different things that she thought was important. And then she sent me that. Isn't that really sweet? I've got some really cool stuff. I'll show a few people. This whole set of dice. See these dice in this little 3D printed box, and it has little pictures that tells me what each of the dice are, like a D4, a D20, you know, all the different things, the percentile dice, that kind of stuff, because I started trying to play. And then I had a wonderful friend that I've made on, his name is Crafting Gamer, and he made this for me. It's a dice tower, and it's made out of cardboard and stuff. It's amazing, the detail he went through. And he put a little magnet on there so that I can put this on the dice tower on here like that. See? And it will hold my stuff. And then I take the dice and then I'll just drop it in here and it rolls out at the bottom. Isn't that the coolest thing? It was after we did the Goonies. See, and he put the one guy on the front of this. I just thought this was just so sweet. I cried when I opened it because it was so cool. And it had a couple other little things that he'd painted and stuff for me. It's just so sweet because, you know, nobody can buy that. You can't go to the store and buy that. That is made with someone's hands. And they cared enough to, you know, to take time out of their life and make something for you. So what are you writing right here? I think the post about the Capitol shutting down is fake. Is it? They're losing so bad, they're trying to make that stuff up. Yeah, it could be. But then I went looking. That's what I was going to show you. I went looking and I found this. So let me, just really gotta, oh, I don't want to click on the wrong button. I think it's, This one. Yeah. Okay. That's it. Now, I'm going to bring up this because this is what I found when I went looking to find out what they were talking about. So, this is the Guardian. Now, is the Guardian a real thing? Because it was like 5 or 6 different websites, but I had to pay to get on all of them except for this one. So my hair is falling out. Okay. Let's see. And it said U.S. Homeland Security Department on track for shutdown after funding bill fails in the Senate. So lawmakers left Washington for a long weekend without resolving an impasse over much criticized agency funding. So, but that's what I don't understand. They're arguing, okay? They're arguing over this shit, right? They pass the SAVE Act. They get enough votes that they need to get to pass because they got enough people to believe that we need voter ID. Okay, it's like a giant sunbeam will come down and everybody's going to turn into ashes because they're all vampires. Hold on, I got to take this pin out because I tried to pin this down so that wouldn't curl up, but it keeps curling up. So I'm taking this pin off real quick because I'm tired of it being on there. Yes, he made me, he made me a dice tower, but this 3D printed case that shuts, but I got an extra set of dice in it. But it has all the symbols, on there to tell me what they are. Because I couldn't remember when they'd say roll a D20 or roll a percentile dice or a D4 or whatever, right? I couldn't remember what they were called. So he printed these out so I would know that this is a D4, stuff like that. I just thought that was so sweet for him to do that for me. He didn't have to. I accidentally touched the thing, changed the deal. But I've got some really cool stuff. I got some really nice friends that I've met. Now, I would show you one that I have. Mac made me I did a show and I talked about my grandmother and my grandpa, my great grandparents or whatever. And she was wearing, because she was raised on Indian reservation, Chickasaw Nation, and she was wearing a rosary. And he said, your grandmother has a generational rosary around her neck. And I was like, what's that? So I didn't know. My mom was dead, so I couldn't ask her. So he explained it to me. And then he sent me one. He made me one. He tried to replicate what hers looked like. And I got to hang it in my car on my mirror because I just think it's beautiful. And it's real stones and you can feel them. They're polished and they're cold to the touch. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it. But yeah, that's the only, I've never had one of these before. And I've always wanted, this cool, it is so awesome. He did such a good job, but look at the detail around the, this is all cardboard, that he cut up and stuff. Now this is like some kind of foam that he made, but it's just so cool and so sweet for him to have done that for me. And I use it every week. I use it every week and use it to roll all my dice in. So now I don't roll very well still. I've just got bad luck and I have bad rolls. So I barely win any battles or anything. I have to use magic mostly for everything because, and then some spells you have to roll a certain way high enough to be able to have the spell penetrate. And most of the time it doesn't do anything because I roll so shitty. I just have bad rolls. I'm just not lucky when it comes to rolling. But someone would have to come and watch us play and learn because that's what I had to do. I understood some of it because I'd always wanted to play and I'd watched people play, but I never actually was able to roll dice and make a character and do all that stuff. So Bruce helped make all that because I was joining a group of people that have been, basically playing the same game for 16 years. So, here I am as this little, I don't know. It was fun. It's been fun. I've really enjoyed it a lot. It's been so fun to play. Now, I didn't realize it was going to be 6 and 8 hour days to play the game. But when you have a character that's like level 15 and they have 2 other cohorts, that also have turns, it takes a while because you have to each roll. And like when I roll, I have Luna. She's my cleric, and then Luna has a cohort, which is a tiger. And when she goes, her name's Sasha, she gets to scratch, and bite. So that's 3 different rolls, right? For 3 different things to find out whether or not you can attack or not. So it's very detailed. But the thing is it's just like playing, with this, but I'm rolling dice instead of doing this. See, that's the difference. It's mostly in your imagination because there's no video showing people what's happening when I'm playing. I know it's really funny. Some of these people have these giant bags of dice, and I do too. I'm not going to say I have a lot more dice, but and they say, well, put them in the freezer or do these different things. But I haven't done any of that stuff with mine. Have it blessed by a priest. I've had people attack me on X in my chat while I'm doing a live stream, saying that they think it's demonic and stuff, because just like when the Harry Potter movies came out and stuff, they were saying that anyone that would watch it are devil worshipers and stuff like that. And I definitely am not a devil worshiper, and I don't. I do believe in the devil because I do believe God created all the angels, and God created everything basically. So, and He tried to keep them, tried to make them repent, but they wouldn't. His followers and him got cast out, and I do believe that story. So. But I don't think because I play a game where you fight dragons or whatever other goblins or whatever creatures that the GM writes or makes up for his story that he's telling is worshiping the devil or anything like that. God cares what's in here and how you use that and how you treat other people. That's what I think He cares about. Oh, my rosary. I thought you were talking about my dice. I was like, I'd be too embarrassed. Now, my rosary I could, but see, I'm not a Catholic. I don't believe in saying Hail Marys. And, I went to visit one of my sisters for a month, and I stayed there with her, and I went to church with her. And they stand up and sit down and stand up and kneel and stand up and all that over and over again. And it was amazing how many times people stand up and sit down and stuff that they do, like, kissing Mary, doing all the stuff that they do. I just have a hard time with all that. I'm not saying it's bad or anything. I'm just saying it's not how I was raised. So, but she converted to become a Catholic so she could get married to the guy that she fell in love with. But I just went, oh, I don't know if I can do all that stuff. It's really hard for me to, because to me, some of that stuff is like, oh, I won't get into it because a lot of people are Catholic out there and stuff, and it's not my place to say anything about that. But it's just not something. I did it. I was very respectful, and I tried to stand up and sit down and do all that stuff that they were doing. But I finally just sat down because I was holding a baby at the time too, so it's like a lot of work. But it was a nice, beautiful church. It was gorgeous. I mean, you could tell they just really spent a lot of time and effort to make it as gorgeous as they could make it. As place of worship. It was just beautiful. Well, I know she tried to explain all that to me herself, but my sister. But it's just, you can't really learn. That's something you have to spend time going through and understanding what the meaning is behind of it and stuff like that. Just like when you go to any church, over time you learn more and more about, why you're in that specific religion or whatever. I would, she had to go through all these classes and everything else to convert. So she was trying to explain a lot of that to me, but we didn't talk about it. The only time we talked about it was after we went to church. And then, the kids would say, I'm hungry, whatever. So we had to start doing that stuff instead. So you know how it is. You've had kids. Wow, it's 12:30. Can't believe it. Just doesn't seem like it. Time flies though when you're not really doing much. Wish I could play something. Oh, I got something. Let me find this video real quick and see if you guys have seen this. This is interesting. Hold on. Got to go to my media sources. Go down. I've got this video I play this. I got a bunch of videos that I've edited so that they're only a certain length, a minute long or whatever, to put on, for my shows, depending on what I'm talking about. But this one was funny as heck, and I've kept it and I play it every so often, but I'm going to play it for you guys because I don't know if all of you have seen it or not, but you might have, but I'm going to play it for you. Here we go.
Shit. Morning, Dad.
Have any of you guys ever been that drunk? I think it's hilarious. It's really funny. And I love that actor because he was in the Full Monty. I just loved him in that. But yeah, it was a good movie too. I really liked that movie. Let's see. Here's another one. But this one's a more serious one that I play every so often, depending on, my topics or whatever else. But it's got a good, it makes you think. And I tell people, think about this. Here we go. It's more serious.
Mate, I'm so sorry. I thought there was time.
He just pulled out. I don't have time to stop.
Oh, come on, mate. It was a simple mistake.
I know if I was going a bit slower.
Please. I've got my boy in the back.
I'm going too fast. I'm sorry.
It's pretty impactful, isn't it? You think about it, wear your seatbelt, don't drink and drive, pay attention, try not to speed, all those things, because it's not just your life anymore. You know what I mean? That's why I like that kind of stuff. And then here's another one. I play this every so often because I think it's important that people pay attention when you're shopping too, to save money.
Through it a little bit, pick anything out. Let's go weigh this one on the scale.
They're saying this ham here, what is it? Kentucky Legend ham? They're saying this ham right here, this little bitty ham, is 5.34 pounds. Let's take it to the scale. It's a good thing they put these scales in here so we can keep Walmart in check. Let's check this out. $2.25. They were trying to get somebody for $25. $25.59 for this. How many in here are off? How many in there are off? Start digging through here, see how many in here are off. If I was unknowing, I was in a hurry, I just grabbed that ham and threw it in, it would rang up $25. I literally spent about 2 minutes in here. I started going up and down through things, looking at stuff. I found this in 2 minutes. Check your meat, folks. Walmart.
That is shocking that somebody was going to pay $25 for that teeny tiny ham. It's ridiculous. It's terrible. But well, I pretty much brought up everything I was going to talk about tonight. So yeah, I thought Shaun of the Dead was funny, but I didn't think it was near as good as the Full Monty. I thought the Full Monty was so good. It's a good bonding movie for men, I think. It's a bunch of guys who don't have jobs, and they all decide, well, we're going to make a quick buck by stripping. So funny. The whole concept behind it and stuff, and the adorable relationship between that one actor and his wife, and he's pudgy and he's embarrassed and he doesn't want to strip because he realizes he thinks he's ugly and that the women won't find him attractive. And when he gets in that one argument with his wife because she finds that stripper's thong and thinks it's a woman's when it's really his costume for him to strip in because they're practicing. And when he admits to her that he was going to strip, and she's like, but he goes, but nobody will want to see this dance. And she said, I would. So I just think it's adorable. It's very well done. It's a wonderful movie. And I've seen it like, 17 times, something like that. But it's still great. It's a good movie. But if you haven't seen it, you guys should watch it. It's a good movie. We did a review on it. So you can watch the review after you watch the movie if you want, but it's a good movie. It's definitely entertaining, and it's funny. You'll laugh a lot. It's a good movie. But I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. I need to go get something to eat. I'm starving, and go to bed. But hey, send me a DM. Are you on Discord or whatever? Because that's usually, it's either Discord or X is where I normally send links to get on the show. But if you have an idea of a show or whatever, you just want to hang out. Yeah, I'm hungry. I'm starving. I didn't eat any dinner. I was sitting for like 3 hours setting up, trying to figure out what I was going to be on the show, blah, 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 blah. Then I had to take a shower because I hadn't gotten a shower after I went to the gym earlier. And I got that done. I got dressed, then came in and pulled up all the links and then tried to get someone to join me on the show. And then it was time for the show. And I've been on the show since 9 o'clock. So I'm still haven't eaten. I'm starving. So I'm going to get me some grapes, some blackberries, probably a little glass of milk because I really love milk. I know you hate milk. I know you don't like milk, but I love milk. And I got good, strong bones because of it. So calcium's good for women. But thank you guys for hanging out with me. And I hope you guys enjoyed some of the things that I got to talk about. And do go and look up the Epstein victims and watch any of them if they have podcasts and stuff. It's very, very informative. And especially now that these emails and stuff are coming out, you're going to definitely want to have something to go back and forth on and say, wow, and start seeing it unfold through the mouth of a victim and then through the emails. It's really good. I'm thankful that these girls were brave enough to go and talk about what happened to them. and the people that they saw there, I'm not saying that the people that's like I said about the redacted stuff, just because somebody was there doesn't mean they did anything. Okay. It just means that they were there with business for whatever reason, something else was going on. Maybe he was, trying to raise money, or, you never know why someone might be there. They have other businesses going on. Just like I said, I think a lot of the people that went there for certain things weren't really there because of the big things that were going on. They were there just to shine light away from, like I always say, if everybody's looking over there, what's going on back there? That's what we need to start paying attention to. But I had fun. It was fun, but man, I'm tired and I'm starving. So you guys all have a great weekend, and I'll be try to do something tomorrow since I won't be able to play, Pathfinder. So I'll have to figure something else to do. And I won't be having a Girl and a Guy in a Movie on Sunday. So maybe I'll get a group of people and we can hang out in Discord and watch a movie. That would be fun. I just don't know what one yet and how we're going to watch it. I haven't learned that yet about how to present something on my Discord yet. I'm trying to learn how to do that. That would be fun once I figure it out. But you guys have a great night, and thank you very much for hanging out. So I'll talk to you later.
Mate, oh, I'm so sorry. I thought there was time.
He just pulled out. I don't have time to stop.
Oh, come on, mate. It was a simple mistake.
I know if I was going a bit slower.
Please. I've got my boy in the back.
I'm going too fast. I'm sorry.